Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Galactic Window podcast. It's good to see all of you here in the YouTube chat. Tonight, we're going to be interviewing somebody who I have met in person and on the interwebs itself. Somebody who is also a fellow astrophotographer who does incredible work. But first, if you're brand new here, welcome to the show. This is the Galactic Window, and this podcast is dedicated to looking into the unique views of individuals who love space, their unique view into the galaxy. I think we all have a unique perspective that's worth sharing and worth hearing because we can all learn from these perspectives and the knowledge that people have to share as they peer into the night sky. I think we all see the night sky differently, even though we might be looking at the exact same things. I think we all have these special moments that make us unique individuals. So I've been hosting this podcast. This is the episode 4 of the series here, and the goal is to have as many people on here as possible that I think have stories worth telling. In previous episodes, we had other astrophotographers, most of which whom I met on TikTok. I'm part of an astro community there with a whole bunch of people who love doing the same thing I do, which is taking photos of the night sky, enjoying the wonders of space, and seeing who else likes to do those same hobbies. And some of them have different focuses. Some look deep in the night sky, some look up close at things like the moon. There's so many cool things to look at, and certainly everybody, as they take pictures or share their view on videos like on TikTok, there's just something so cool about seeing the person behind that work. So tonight is no exception, and what we can do here is I can feature comments that come into the YouTube chat. So if you're here, say hello, and I can feature you here. We're going to throw up a couple of people. Welcome in. I see a couple friends joining in. Hello, hello, hello. Hopefully you guys can all hear me loud and clear. What is up? Good to see all of you in the chat. I see lots of friends. Going to feature you guys as you come in. So as we begin our conversation here with our guests shortly in just a minute, feel free to submit questions throughout the night. We're going to just be hanging out and discussing space and astrophotography, content creation, all of the above, and most importantly, hearing the story of the guest and why they've been so in love with space, because I think that's what's contagious about this stuff. And yeah, that's going to be come up here in just a second. So good to see all of you here. Let's see. Here's Joe. Joe was our guest in the very first episode of the Galactic Window. Good to see you, man. Welcome back. We've got veterans in the chat. This is going to be great. Cool. Well, I think we should get right into it. You guys are all here hopping in. I see we've got a full chat, so do not be afraid to engage throughout the evening. It's good to see all of you here. All right, so I'm going to introduce our guest tonight. His name is Tan, and he goes by the handle on the internet, Chasingthemilk. And a lot of you guys, I believe, are from his community who are joining in just now. Maybe he sent you in over from TikTok, or you follow him, or you've heard about him from me because I've recently shared content because I got to meet him in person. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But Tan is amazing. He does incredible live streams and content on TikTok. He has an incredible following of almost 1 million people, which is no easy feat to obtain. He's a remarkable person, and certainly just a all-out chill dude who loves to hang out. So Tan, I'm going to welcome you in here in just a second. Here we go. Welcome in, Tan. What's up, brother?
Dude, I'm so blown away by the production and just how awesome this is. I'm inspired, man. Seriously, this is awesome.
Dude, yes. Let me adjust my volume here a little bit, make sure I can hear you well. There we go. I am so glad that you said yes to doing this. This is so cool. We've got an incredible community of people that we're a part of and over on TikTok, and that's how I met you. And believe it or not, you were actually, I think, the very first space related page that I discovered on TikTok when I kind of joined in 2022, and I found you and I saw you were doing live streams of the moon, and I said that guy's awesome. He's doing incredible work, and he's so pleasant and enjoyable to listen to, and he engages so well with his community. So all the way back then, I knew, I'm like, this dude's cool. Little did I know I would actually end up meeting you in person, like not too far into the future. And now I'm having you here on the podcast, which is super cool. So thank you, man, for coming in.
Dude, I'm super grateful to be here. I'm super excited, man. This is awesome. Oh no,
We lost the camera.
it's what happens when you get excited. I guess all that woo
Yeah,
woo energy.
exactly. Yeah, it's interference. It's joy interference. Um, Cool, man. Well, let's just, I always like to welcome in the guests by asking them this question because I think it always helps people to get to know who you are. And that is, I always ask, what does your handle mean? Like your social media name. Everybody has something different. I'm the Orbital Alliance, and I have my reasons for that. But I would love to hear your reason for why did you pick Chasing the Milk as your social media identity?
Yeah, that's a good question. Is this 18 or up?
um, yeah, keep it. I would say family friendly, right?
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
That was a bad joke.
yeah.
So I fell in love. Like my first taste into astronomy was the Milky Way. This was late 2019, and long story short, a friend took me for a ride and showed me the night skies, and it was the first time that I'd really seen the Milky Way. And I'd always just thought, I'm like, you'd have to be somewhere really, really dark, or be somewhere in the middle of the desert to be able to see the skies like that. But uh, an hour outside of hour and a half outside of St. Louis, and I saw the Milky Way, and I think that was when the seed was planted.
Mm.
Um, and at the time, I didn't have TikTok. I was like, I'm never gonna download this app. You're not gonna convince me to download
Yeah.
this app. And I did, and I was like, well, this is the only thing I really like, so I guess we'll just make it about the Milky Way. So chasing the milk.
Yeah. So there's an action in there. There's chasing, which is like this pursuit, right? Like there, it's not just like you could have been viewing the milk or staring at the milk or drinking the milk, but instead you just chasing because there is something to it. Like certainly in today's society, you tend to have to go to the Milky Way. The Milky Way doesn't come to you, right? Like, what does that mean to you? Like chasing, like what does that? Where does that seed come from?
Man, that's a good question. Um, it's the blood and sweat that comes with it, because once you get into this hobby of astronomy, you'll find out really quickly that it's not always rainbows and butterflies. There have been times where I drove 2 hours out and forgot the tiniest piece of my telescope, which rendered the entire night useless.
Oh no.
Or you look at the forecast and it says it's going to be clear, and you drive out there and a bunch of clouds show up, and it sucks, you know. But
Mm.
there's the night where you anticipate seeing some stars or a meteor shower. You get there, skies are clear, the Milky Way's out, and it's one of the most incredible nights. And I think if it was easy, it wouldn't be fun. So chasing it, it's very rewarding to me.
Hmm. Yeah, good deal. Good deal. Um, so tell us, you are on TikTok primarily, but what other platforms are you currently active on, social media wise?
Really, just TikTok. I have a Instagram account that's pretty dead. I have a YouTube account that's also pretty dead. I don't use Snapchat. I don't have Facebook anymore. Um, it's primarily TikTok for now.
Mhm. Cool. Yeah. And then, so what sorts of content do you enjoy producing for TikTok, like primarily? Like, if you could categorize them in like sort of general terms, like when you're making videos or putting live streams on, like what are you doing on TikTok in particular?
That's a really good question. You know, I'm still. I think I'm at this transition where I'm kind of evolving, because
Mm.
I've been on TikTok for about 3 years, and when I first started, it was the moon live streams. I was absolutely obsessed with looking at the moon, and I thought, man, there's got to be a way I can bring this to the community, So that's how it started. Really, that's kind of how I grew. It was just from the live streams. Um, Fast forward, I quickly realized that meteor showers are probably something that I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
I will not miss one unless it's cloudy or I'm sick or something happens to me. And once again, I was like, okay, like I'm enjoying this, but there's probably people out here who's never even seen a shooting star. I'm like, I
Mhm.
have to show them this. And I found a brand that uh long story short, I found a company that basically trusted me. They're like, I wanted to collab with them, and I'm like, hey, I think you guys got something here. Let's work together.
Mm.
And they're the night vision company. Um, so fast forward, I think I think I'm always going to do the moon streams. There's just something about it that's kind of like a reminder of where I came from. Those are my
Mhm.
roots. But the meteor shower streams are probably something that I absolutely love, even though it entails a lot of sleepless nights. I don't know, I might look tired now because I am. Uh, this month was pretty brutal, staying up till like 4 or 5. Um, but yeah, the meteor shower streams are something that I absolutely get the most joy out of.
Mm. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, and maybe I'm probably wrong,
Tan
but
talk.
you're probably the only person that I know that does meteor streams successfully, that like it has like a really good production quality to it that you can actually see the things happening. Like obviously having the night vision equipment is an incredible advantage. Um, and I think that's really cool that you found this sub niche within sort of the astro general niche that it kind of belongs to you. And you figured out a way not only to just do it properly, but you've brought your unique personality into it, and your vibe that you generate is obviously contagious. It's like it's what people love about you, and it's what like drew me to you too, because it was like, man, this guy is so easygoing, just loves to not only have fun himself, but is so good at inviting other people into that fun. And it's certainly with something that you could argue maybe like that golf is more exciting than a meteor shower in terms of action, and a lot of people tend to call golf a boring sport because you're just waiting, right? Like because you can't predict a meteor shower where it's going to happen, but that is kind of the art of it, and you make it interesting. You could just stare at the night sky all you want and if nothing happened, and that be like, okay, what's the point? But it's the person behind it, I think, that draws people in, and you use lots of really cool techniques um, that engage people. You make something that otherwise would be boring incredibly exciting, and I love that about you. Like you do these countdowns. Like, you want to tell us about the countdowns that you do during meteor shower streams?
Sure. Real quick, man, I just want to take the time to acknowledge, and I think I tend to see you when we're in person. You're really good at just analyzing stuff. I love that so much. And a lot of my, I'd say a lot of my success through TikTok was from doing the same thing. Um, like when I first started, just a quick tangent. When I first started really
Mhm.
grinding on TikTok, I would study other creators. I would go on, and it wasn't just space accounts. It was health and beauty. It was fitness. It was every single creator. And this is a tip right here. If you guys are trying to grow, see what other people are doing, because you're kind of in this box, and what you think is cool might not be cool to someone else. So I spent a lot of time literally dissecting videos. Did this video make me cry? Why did this do this? Um, you're just really good at breaking all that down. And I sometimes I don't realize all the things I do, but just right there, like the countdown thing. One, it's a good way to get engagement, but it's something that I naturally did because I was so tired of missing all the dang meteors. So I was like, all right, guys, everyone shut up. We got to do a countdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to do a countdown. Turn off the dang comments because I'm going to read them. And it worked out. But at the same time, it's two birds, one stone. So
Mhm.
that happened by accident. It was literally me just being so sick of missing all the shooting stars, that I just wanted everyone to just shut up for 10 seconds. And it
Mhm.
works, and it's my favorite thing. I love doing the countdowns.
Yeah, it's cool. So like when you do this like slowed down 10-second count where you say, like you were saying just a second ago, you'll shut off the content comments on TikTok where they'll disappear, so you get a full view of your video shot, and we're hearing your voice, and you do this slow countdown like 10, 9, like that kind of a cadence, and you just invite everybody into to just go laser focus on this little square of, or rectangle to be totally specific, um of sky. And every second that goes by, there's just more emotional investment in the moment, and you can feel the tension. And even though you can't read the comments from people, you just know there's 800 people out there who are like, what's going to happen next, and then when you get to it, even if nothing happens, you get to zero and then it's just blank sky, it's still okay because everyone immediately re-ups their emotions and reinvests in the next one. It's like, okay, we didn't get this time, let's just keep going. And like, there's like a little bit of a buzz even if you don't win. But you also have had some successful moments with this meteor countdown too that have been really exciting, and one of them that sticks out to me, and we talked about this in person, was this Taylor Swift moment. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just going to go back a little bit for the
Mhm.
viewers who probably like don't really know what's going on. So, how I stream the meteor showers is I have a night vision camera and my phone hooks up to the camera. So, what we're referring to during these countdowns is like when I'm live on TikTok. So basically, you just see a green screen, right? You see through the night vision camera. And when I do these countdowns, I shut off all the comments, so everyone is kind of just forced to stargaze, and that's the absolute best time for me to have your attention. So we do these countdowns in hopes that we would catch a shooting star during the countdown, but the ultimate goal is to catch one when we get to one. So I'll count down from 10, and the goal is to catch a huge fireball at one. We had I don't remember which media shower was, maybe the Lyrids, but we had a full house, and someone in the chat was like, "Hey, you should dedicate the next countdown to Taylor Swift." Um, and sometimes whenever you have a lot of comments in your chat, you're just kind of reading them, you're just blowing through them. And I read that one, and I was like, "Oh, that's funny." I'm like, "Sure, why not? I like Taylor Swift." So jokingly, I was like, "This is cute. Let's go ahead and do it. What's a hurt?" I'm like, "We're gonna dedicate this next countdown to Taylor Swift." So um, we do the usual. We turn off the chat, and I'm like, "All right, guys, this one is for you, Taylor Swift," or something along the lines of that. And right after I counted, I think it was 10, or maybe before 10. It was 10 or before 10. A huge shooting star just like yeets across the screen, and those moments are the like absolute pinnacle of happiness for me. Like, it's cool to see a meteor, and it's cool to see other people see the meteor. But when stuff like that happens, when a true manifestation, like, I believe in that stuff, right? And I don't care if you don't. I do it, and it worked. We dedicated one to Taylor Swift, and she gave us a really nice shooting star. And just seeing the chat afterwards was just like absolute, just so much dopamine. You know, it was actually a very, very emotional moment.
Mhm.
Something I'll never forget. That's going to be one of those stories. And the best part is actually reading the comments, and everyone in the chat was tagging Taylor and Taylor Nation. She's too famous to notice me on TikTok, but it was just so cool to see the community come together.
Yeah, right. It's a essentially an internet core memory, um,
Absolutely.
which I think are definitely that's a thing. I think a lot of times we dismiss the power of the internet because a lot of times it's like, oh, it's just the internet, but there's some incredible strength in moments, and certainly now with the age that the internet is, when you really look back, like it's like another friend in a way. So the fact that this was one of those moments you could have with a host of people, like you all will share in that collective moment and memory together, and I'm sure certainly won't be the only one who remembers it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
um so let's kind of like go out to the bigger picture here. You enjoy experiencing the night sky, of course, with your eyes and learning about it. And I remember you telling me that you kind of started getting into it around COVID. Can you tell us the story about your journey of discovery of astronomy and astrophotography a little bit more? Tell us a bit more about that. Like, get us up to speed over the last couple of years of the life of Tan.
Sure. Let's see. Okay, so 2019 was my first time seeing the Milky Way. It wasn't enough to completely, take me over to the dark side, but it was enough to say, "Hey, this is probably something that I'd like to do again someday." And it wasn't until 2020, um, is where my life completely changed, and it was because of a comet. It was
Mhm.
a naked eye visible comet. You guys probably have heard of it, Comet Neowise. At the time, uh, I may have just shot the Milky Way a handful of times, maybe 3 or 4 times. So I'm not a pro, but I realized that with the basic camera, just the average Joe can take photos of the night sky. Um, Comet Neowise was all over the news, along with people hoarding toilet paper and hand sanitizer, and everyone shut down and just complete madness. So it was a lot going on during the pandemic. Um, and I was, stuck in the house, man. I was like, dude, I don't know what I can do. Times are weird. Um, so we heard of this comet, and some friends and I were like, you know what? Let's go try to hunt this thing. And from what I remember, there was a small window where you could actually see this comet. I think it was from uh 3 in the morning to like right before sunrise. So
Yep.
there's a very small window, and you had to have some dark skies. So this isn't something that you could see in the city. At the time, I didn't know. Like, I actually ended up going down to the St. Louis Arch to look for it, which is a horrible idea. But it's this was kind of like one of those things where I learned along the way. But long story, probably still kind of long. Um, I chased this comet for about 3 or 4 nights, and man, it was pretty brutal. Every single night that my friend and I went out, it was either cloudy or we had missed the window or it was just too light polluted.
Mhm.
And I remember the last night, I'm at a park maybe 20 minutes from my house. Super discouraged. I'm running on very little sleep because we've been doing it back to back. And this is like the night where I really thought I was going to see it. I'm sitting in there. It's 3 something in the morning, and I'm looking around, feeling super discouraged because like I'm not seeing this comet. Yet on Instagram, when I'm scrolling, everyone is talking about this dang comet, and I'm like, why is everyone else seeing it? Why am I hearing about it on the news? But and why can't I see it? Um, so I kind of give up. I'm like, this is lame. Like, I don't see anything. So I went in my car, and I was actually doing a little vlog at the time,
Mm.
and I was just kind of talking to the camera, saying, "Well, we tried it. We tried everything. We gave it our all. That's all that matters. But unfortunately, we didn't find it." Um, After that video, instead of packing up, there was this weird gut feeling. I don't know how to explain it. This is another one of those woo-woo things. There was a feeling that like I had to just look one more time.
Mhm.
That's what I did. I went outside. I grabbed my binoculars. I'm like, okay, look. I'm looking at my phone and looking at the directions. It says look this way, and it should be over the horizon. And I'm looking. I don't see anything. And I'm looking with my binoculars, and I don't see anything. I'm just scouting around. And I remember like getting really frustrated, but I'm like, okay, like it has to be here somewhere. I'm looking around, and then I see this little smudge in the sky, and I didn't realize that at the time, but my binoculars were not even focused. So again, just
Mm.
more things that we astronomers learned along the way. Like I saw this little smudge, and I started cranking up that little focus knob at the top. And as the picture started getting more clarity, I felt this huge rush inside my stomach. And whenever it fully focused, it was just this huge comet with a really long tail. And that's a feeling that I don't know if I'll ever have that feeling again unless we have um, another comet. But even then, this was the first time, so I could say, "Oh, this is cool," but I've already seen it. That was probably the most emotional experience for me, and man, it was crazy. That was when the seed was really planted. So
Mm.
The Milky Way definitely helped. But after Neowise, I knew for sure that this was what I was going to be doing, and that led me to buying my first telescope, to joining a club, um, to becoming chasing the milk.
Yeah, well, and it's something that I felt this myself too. Is like once you see things with your eyes, like other than enjoying the moment yourself, I think it's within our human nature to just the next thing we all want to do is grab the person next to us and be like, "Look at this thing." like, do you see this too? And sometimes there's not somebody physically next to you, but we of course have the power of the internet and our phones and social media platforms. So like we go to places where it's like, hey, let's share this with as many people as possible, because I want them to feel the same way I do, right? Like there's that desire to do that. Like, would you say that's accurate for you? Like when you first saw Neowise, you wanted to find somebody else to share it with?
I did, and I actually did find someone. There was someone there with me. This young lady, she was there looking for Neowise as well. She saw me pulled over, and she was like, "Hey, are you looking for this comet?" But basically, I ran up to her. I was like, come here, look. And it was such an awesome experience because we were both just complete strangers.
Mhm.
I don't know, I didn't even know her name. And here we are, just super, super excited. It's such a beautiful moment.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's certainly the moments that you can't manufacture that are the best too. Um, it's one thing if you got like your friends with you. That's certainly exciting. But yeah, random person just driving by, that's pretty amazing. um, I saw a question come in here. Everybody who's joining in, welcome. Just want to do a quick little plug here just for what's going on. It's been a couple minutes since we started streaming. Welcome into the Galactic Window video podcast. My name is Nick, and I run this channel, the Orbital Alliance. It's about space and astrophotography and wonder. And I have my guest here, my friend Tan, who goes by Chasingthemilk on social media. You can find him on TikTok. He does incredible work. We're having a wonderful discussion about him and his journey towards becoming a space content creator and astrophotographer. So do not be afraid to engage in the YouTube chat, say hello, submit your questions. I'll do what I can to get people to have their questions featured. I'm going to throw it up here as an example. So don't be afraid to participate a little bit. So here we go. My buddy Josh chiming in. He's a long time orbiter on my end here. Good to see you, man. He asks, have you seen a comet in person too? Yes. I have seen 3 really good comets. No, technically 4, but 3 that I've definitely seen. I saw Hale-Bopp in '97, which was my defining comet as a kid. I was 7 years old at that point, and that changed my perspective on what the night sky even was. I saw Comet Holmes in 2007, 10 years later, which was a comet that exploded. And I saw that through binoculars. So kind of like Tan, like that was seeing it through binoculars with assisted vision was like, again, another level of like, okay, we're stepping up the game here. And then I saw Neowise, the one that Tan was talking about back in 2020. It was 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got to see that one. And I was as ready as I could be for that one, because at that point I had better camera equipment and everything in between. So I actually went out and did 2 sessions of imagery for that. And I had such an amazing time with that. And then I did catch that green comet that came around in January of this year that I
ZTF,
barely,
I think.
yeah,
Or
ZTF.
Comet Leonard, one of the, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just barely saw it with my camera and my telephoto lens. I was just able to resolve a little bit of a green glow. There were some other people who got some incredible images, so I did get to see that one technically, but it was less glorious than Neowise, that's for sure. So thanks for the question, Josh. Appreciate it. And I see your follow up, the little avatar reference right there. I love it. I did technically see that one. Yeah. We are going to throw this one up because how can we not address Tan's incredible mullet that he rocks? What is your hair care routine there, Tan? Like, what was the inspiration for your mullet?
I thought he was asking you, man.
Oh gosh, no, mine is less impressive.
That's so funny. Man, so I've always had crazy hair, but the mullet was also a pandemic haircut. I haven't told anyone this yet, so this is kind of like and you guys have the scoop on this, but I think for the new year, I'm gonna chop it all off and go back to short hair. Just
Ooh.
I want to do something fun. I don't know. We'll have to do something, and maybe we'll stream it. But it's I don't know. I've been really wanting to focus on Chasingthemilk 2.0, and I've been really wanting to do that for a while, and I feel like this needs to be done. So
Yeah. Okay.
it's just hair. But my skincare routine, this dude, I honestly don't do much with it. It's just naturally mullety. You know,
Yeah.
I
Dude,
think genetics.
I saw a guy. I was just in Disney World last week with my family, and we saw a dude who works at Disney World. Normal haircut, like mine, like just short, trim, except for the front. Dude had it like it was like forced up in the front, but I kid you not, it was a foot tall.
Like a
It was just
unicorn?
shaped, yeah, like a unicorn horn. Like
Nice, dude.
I'm
That's
just
sick.
making the recommendation for you if you're looking for ideas.
Maybe I'll try it. We'll have some fun with my hair before we chop it all off.
Yeah,
Rest in peace, mullet.
oh
That's
my gosh.
awesome.
Look at Joe. He wants the frosted tips. Go back to the early
Highlights, baby.
2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had frosted tips when I was like
Same, bro.
11, 12, 13. It was
That's so
not pretty,
awesome.
but you had it too.
Yeah, I had the frosted tips, even the Hollister shell necklace.
Yeah, the puka beads.
Yeah, is that what it was? Yeah, bro.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, my buddy Tony. Do you both work out? Because you've been running through my mind all night. Oh my
gosh. That's good, bro. Making me blush here.
Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
That's hilarious. It's funny that you just did that because when we met up, so we should tell that story and maybe next. We had the chance to meet in Arizona last month in person for the annular solar eclipse event that happened in the United States. And we'll get to the details in a second. But when I first met you, I did a little video with you for my channel and my TikTok. And that was the first thing that you did was that, ah, ha, ha. And I didn't expect it because I didn't know what that was. And now I've been hearing it more. Like, is there a story behind that? And what does that mean?
So it's not even my thing. There's just another creator name of Spice Adams, and he just does this like really, it's almost supposed to be like a seductive, like a aha, but I don't know why, but it turned into a thing where when someone makes a joke, especially a corny joke, it requires this it's basically a fake laugh. And I don't know if you guys have ever ran into a time where someone made a joke and like it would be kind of rude to not laugh, but it's also not fun enough to spark a real laugh. So you're like, and I don't know, that it's just a thing, and people love it, and I love it too. So I was like, dude, we're just gonna roll with it. So that's the story of the ahahas.
Gotcha. Well, I dig it. Regardless, I was seeing well, we should there's a couple of good questions coming in through here, but really quick, let's talk about the chance that you and I had to meet up in person. So we both knew that there was going to be this beautiful annular solar eclipse, meaning the moon is going to pass in front of the sun but not cover it entirely. This was an event that has been predicted for a very long time. It was October 14th of this year, so that's a little over a month ago. And you and I happened to join a TikTok live with several other astro nerds on TikTok, other people who do astro content. And we were talking, and somebody asked, what's everyone doing for the eclipse? Because, we're kind of all over the country, all of us. And then I chimed in and said, hey, well, I'm actually going to be flying out to Arizona and Utah to try to catch it, because that's actually in the path that you could see the entire event. If you're in other parts of the country, you're going to see a partial event. Like you wouldn't see the whole moon go in front of you. You had to go to this specific lane in the country. So I was like, I'm flying out to this spot where you can see the whole thing. And you're like, dude, me too. And we found out we were both going to the same town in southern Utah. This is like 2 weeks before. So we connected and said, we need to meet up in person and maybe we can see this event together instead of alone. I think we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants. We didn't have much of a plan. So we're like, let's figure this out. I was traveling with my father-in-law, and you were kind of meeting up with some other people, but kind of flying solo. And it worked. Like we did get to meet in person, and it was super cool because we were driving all over the desert and in these random towns, scouting for locations to do photography of this celestial event. And we ended up meeting at about 10:30 p.m. in McDonald's parking lot. And it was weird because you were coming in from a different direction. It was dark out. We didn't know what kind of cars we were driving. And then I had canceled my hotel for that night because we didn't want to drive 2 hours at the risk of getting stuck in traffic, because Eclipse traffic can be really intense around events like this. So we canceled our hotel. You decided not to go back to where you were staying. So we had to sleep in our cars that first night. So we got out of our cars, shook hands, met each other, and then got back in our cars, slept in freezing cold. It was almost freezing. It was low 40s. It felt freezing.
It's cold.
It was pretty cold. We slept in this dark McDonald's parking lot, and then it was pretty rough. Then we woke up in the morning, and we actually had breakfast at 5 o'clock in the morning. Oh, we lost your image there. There we go. You're back. But we had breakfast at 5 a.m. and just sat in the McDonald's, had a wonderful conversation, just getting to know each other. And I think that's what's so cool about social media is we meet all these people, but it's like a halfway meeting generally. Like you just receive what other people are making. You never actually meet the other people. But it's when you do get to make that connection that I think it's like a humanity at its best. And I think I definitely felt that connection with you as soon as we got to meet. I was like, this is cool. Like meeting another person who loves the things that I love just as much. Like we didn't have to do any work to like build that friendship. We just like got each other like right away, you know,
Skipped a few steps.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally. And it was so much fun. So do you want to kind of tell a little bit of your end of the story about what we got to do together? Maybe you could take the wheel here for a second.
Yeah, sure. Man, just it goes back to what you were saying about the internet being a thing. Like that wouldn't have happened. But the fact that we just happened to be on a live stream together, and we just happened to be going to the same town of all the states. And again, man, I know I always plug in the woo-woo stuff, but I think there's a little bit of truth to some of the things that happen, because there have been so many events like you and I meeting, different events, but it wouldn't have happened if like the stars just seemed like they aligned, man. So it was really cool. But so yeah, I remember scrambling because that trip was just coming right around the corner, and this was my first real solar eclipse. I had not really planned much, so I'm kind of like just last minute. I'll deal with it, the day before. I'll figure something out. Like, how hard could it be? And I soon realized that, like, man, this is probably something I should actually prep for. But yeah, meeting you was incredible, man. It was such a random thing, but it was so cool. And the fact that we did it, we got to shoot it. And it's funny because I still haven't even touched my photos, man. They're sitting there. I'm just making excuses to not touch it, but I will. Yeah, it was cool. I do remember one part of the night. It was a little scary because, there wasn't any service. So here is, Nick and I trying to coordinate where to meet, when to meet, with no service. And the only time I had service was like, it was very spotty. So I knew the location that you guys were at, and I started driving there at night. You can't see anything. And then I look at my phone and there's no service. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't just sit here.
Right.
Either I got to find them in the dark, or I got to drive out of town and hope that I do get service. And that's what I did. It kind of worked out. I drove away a little bit. But at one point I was thinking, man, this might not work out as much as I'd love to meet up with Nick. I don't think it's going to happen, but it did. It was pretty awesome, man. It was I appreciate you guys doing all the legwork for me, doing all the planning, because really all I did was just met up with you guys and set up the camera. So it was cool.
Yeah, totally. Well, and that was the thing. It was like these kinds of events, like we were talking about, like with the comet, like when you experience it, all you want to do is share it with other people. And like, my father-in-law and I got the chance to go out that day before the event to like scout around. We found a really cool natural feature that we had kind of chosen months before that we're like, well, we'll just go check it out and find a spot. So we did some legwork, and yeah, it was like, there's totally no big deal, to share that moment with someone else. And certainly someone who I know loves doing this and really wanted to get a shot. Like it's like, I'm like, yes, more people. Let's do this. Had 20 more people found us in the McDonald's the morning of and said, we would love to go. Where do we go? I would have been like, just join us. Let's go. So it's a special thing, like watching people get united by space and astronomy. Um, so we had actually gotten to, it was that morning. Goodness, I'm trying to remember the time of day, but it was like 10:30, I think. And it lasted 3 hours, this event, this celestial event. So the eclipse started and then it took 3 hours for the whole moon to pass. And we were out on this in Navajo territory, like land feature called Agathla Peak. And it's this volcanic plug. So it's like a shootout of rock that hardened, that was like a hole in the
That's
ground
awesome.
25 million years ago, and it solidified. And we got to be like right in front of it. We were trying to get all kinds of cool shots with the eclipse, like, above it. My photos didn't turn out, those wide shots, because I was not prepared with the right equipment. But we all got some like really nice up close shots, and I got some successful stuff with that. Like, I know you said you didn't process, but did you look at it and to just verify, like, oh, totally got some of these like close up shots?
Yeah, yeah, I did it that same night. It's just something I think most astrophotographers can relate to is whenever, like, after a night of imaging something or after a day, it's like I just want a little peek. I want a little taste of what I got. Because once it goes on the computer, that's when it looks a lot different. But usually
Mhm.
it's just kind of scrolling the wheel and just doing like a little mini time lapse to see everything. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to process them.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. It was really cool because these eclipse events can be really intense. Um, the difference between an annular and solar eclipse, as I explained, like the sun covering or the moon covering the entire sun versus not the entire sun. Um, the draw from people all over the country is huge because these sorts of events don't always happen. And when they do, you're lucky if they happen, over your home country where you can actually travel to it relatively easily. So when they do happen, people flock to those areas. So there's sort of this tension that you carry in your head and in your mind as you're trying to be like, am I going to be running into a massive crowd of people? Like, is there enough space for me? Am I going to be able to get these shots that I want, that I have in my head? And we actually, I think, found a really sweet spot where we were able to
Perfect.
dodge most people. There was a couple of other parties of like one or two people across the little property that we were on. Um, but it was not crowded at all. Like we had our own little area, and between you, me, and Doug, we had like 9 or 10 different cameras running, trying to capture this event. Like we all had close-up shots, like with telephotos. And you had a telescope, we had telephoto cameras, we had wider angle cameras, GoPros running time lapses. You had a mini telescope, a mini like a motorized like a tracking scope. And a drone going and a time lapse yourself. Like we had so much coverage of this event. Like when you got there, what was your process for like, how am I going to capture this event? Like, what did you do to try to make that event your own?
So I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to shoot. So before every trip, especially an astro trip, I try to say, okay, here are these kind of photos that I want to get, and what kind of equipment will I need, and what accessories will I need. So I kind of planned that part out. So whenever I'm out on the field, I'm not scrambling around too much. There's always something. There's always a problem where you might run into where you're like, oh well, this looked a lot better in my head, so I'll have to improvise. But for the most part, I felt like I had things pretty good. So I was running a tracker with a telescope, and a tracker just essentially it just counteracts the Earth's rotation. So I didn't have to mess with it. I had my telescope pointing at the sun. Um, I can just start the photo sequence, and then I won't have to mess with it. And that allowed me more time to play around with some of my other equipment. So that part what wasn't too hard. I think whenever I wanted to get creative is when I start running into problems. So like there was a there was one moment where I brought my astronaut suit. So like
Yeah.
this is kind of a new thing. I thought it would be really cool to bring this spacesuit, like this cheap Halloween spirit costume of me wearing an astronaut suit. But I thought it'd be cool to go to really cool places and take a selfie with me in the Milky Way, or any kind of feature where it looks like I'm in somewhere, like maybe on another planet. So I brought this spacesuit, And I was like, okay, I got to get up really, really far, way by the peak, you know, and that just looked a lot different in my head. I was like, okay, it's maybe gonna take 10 minutes. I'll take a cool selfie and it'll look really cool. But man, I remember halfway there, I was just I couldn't breathe. I was so tired, and I just had the suit on with my camera, and I'm trying to find the right spot to catch the eclipse. And I realized very soon that I wasn't gonna be able to catch it, so I ended up just walking back.
Yeah, that was one of those moments where it was like we were watching you kind of walk away up this hill, and we're like, how long do we think it's going to take him to get there? And how long will it be before he turns around and realizes that's a really steep hill? And you made it really far. Like
I did.
you went for it. You were like all or nothing. But I was bummed for you that the shot didn't work out, because I think it could have been pretty amazing. But hey, you don't know until you try it, right?
Exactly. I tried.
Really quick, I'm gonna try and share a couple of my like behind the scenes pictures from this event, so people can envision what we were looking at here. But let
Oh,
me try and
nice.
cue this up. Let's see. Let's do this here.
Unprocessed data. Yeah, for sure, man.
Let's see. Oh, did that work? Okay, nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, this is the location we were at. This is Agathla Peaks. That's that rocky feature in the background. The up above, of course, the sun where the eclipse is happening. Obviously, this was with my phone, so it's not going to be able to expose the eclipse event. It's just a big bright light. You can see all our cameras and equipment, and the place we were at really did look like another world. It felt like we were on Mars. Like it's just rocks and volcanic explosive like shards all over the place, which is crazy, which it was really weird to experience, because like I was saying, this volcanic plug happened 25 million years ago, and to think that there's still just scattered rocks everywhere, certainly while there's human presence everywhere. Like there's a highway not too far off to our right, and it's gorgeous. It was one of the coolest places to experience it. Like we could have very easily seen this from the McDonald's parking lot that we were in, just a little bit. It was 15 minutes south of where we were. But I think this was one of the most amazing places to view it from. Let me see if this works. If I can actually skip the
Excuse
photos
me.
here, if it's gonna live update on the.
That's awesome.
I don't know if it's gonna. Oh yeah, it did. Okay, so there's the up close. Here's you and me and Doug.
Hey,
I think
dang,
we have the one
bro.
with you
She.
doing the hang loose hands there.
Yep. Signature.
Yeah. I got all
I
kinds of
love it.
behind the scenes stuff of us just using our solar glasses and
There's my
viewing it.
spacesuit, bro. That's so funny.
Yeah, the orange spacesuit there. Gosh, it was so cool.
Good
We had lots of
times,
fun.
man. Good times.
And it's just neat because it was so quiet too, being this amazing, gigantic celestial event is happening right in front of our eyes. Literally a moon-sized object blocking light from a star-sized object, and you're not hearing anything. You're just hearing the air around you. It's a real visceral moment. So we had these solar glasses. Like, what was viewing the solar eclipse event like to you? Like you were saying, this was the first time you really pursued it. When you put on the solar glasses and safely looked at the eclipse, like what went through your mind?
It was just a really cool event, man. Even leading up to it, the anticipation, right? We were looking at the clock. We're like, okay, everyone's like, we're all standing by our camera. And as a photographer, like time is everything. You got to make sure you have everything dialed in. You do not want to be fighting around and trying to change your filter or playing with your settings. So we're all sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I know this is going to happen in the next minute. Okay, it's going to happen in the next 30 seconds. Oh my God, we got 10 seconds till it's happening. Holy crap, it's happening. So you start taking your photos. And for me, I feel like there was a lot going in my head because I'm like, okay, we're good over here. Check. Okay, let me check this other camera. Good. And then something that I constantly have to remind myself, and this event made it a lot easier, but I have to remind myself to actually enjoy it too. Sometimes we are so focused on taking the coolest photo that we forget to actually just enjoy the moment. Um, And I remember you reminded me, you made sure that we actually looked too. But I remember putting on the glasses and looking at it and seeing like it was almost like someone took a bite out of the sun. And seeing it with your naked eye, man, that is something that is so cool. And just a quick backstory. Like I started out doing astrophotography first. So I shot some Milky Way photos in 2019 and got really heavy into like deep space imaging 2020, 21. But just over the last like 2 years, um a visual observation. Like I got my first Dobsonian and I joined an astronomy club and I started looking at stuff through the telescopes and I realized that I think I like observing stuff much more. So to be able to see this eclipse happening real time was absolutely just so cool. And to be able to share it with two other awesome human beings that I just met through TikTok. Like it's all these little elements that make it that much more rewarding. You know, it's hard to explain, man. It's just whenever things line up like that, it really is a happy moment.
Yeah,
And
dude.
oh, just one quick thing, and I
Mhm.
remember experiencing this, and this was probably the coolest part for me was when it started getting dark. There's this really cold. I know it's like a cold front. Things kind of get kind of creepy. It's just an eerie vibe. Like you hear the birds. It's just weird, man. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, it's a little darker now. It's cold, and you can really feel it.
Yeah, there's a significant percentage of heat that disappears during the eclipse, and it's not just light. Obviously, there's still a ring of sun visible still, but yeah, it's this very noticeable thing, and we all started putting our jackets back on because it was like this like breeze just came out of nowhere. It felt like it dropped 10 degrees, which is significant enough to be like
Hmm.
burr, and especially out in the desert. Like it was already kind of a chilly day. It wasn't a hot summer day, so to speak. Um, so yeah, we definitely felt it. And you mentioned the birds too. That's actually like an astro phenomenon. When eclipses happen, it starts to give the impression that the sun is setting, and birds in nature don't
Mm,
really know the difference, right? Like, so they
yeah.
have scientifically been proven to react to eclipse events as you can hear them start getting really active and basically saying like, "Hey, it's bedtime, like time to go to bed," and then a couple of minutes later it's daytime again. And they're like, "What the heck is going on?"
It was
Um,
weird, man. It was really weird in
yeah,
the good way. Yeah.
right. Um, but yeah, it was like you said, it was very cool to see it with people and to go back and forth between looking through your camera and then going back to your eyes, then looking through your camera, making sure you're getting the shot, and back to your eyes. Like I think we the three of us did such a good job of experiencing both. I really think we nailed the experience because it is so simple to just be glued to your camera, get the shot, get the shot, get the shot, and miss the entire thing, and then come look back at it a year later and be like, I don't even remember it in my head. I have
Yeah.
pictures to show for it, but it's like I have no idea what that event was. Um, so it was very, very cool to share with you that moment. I did have some videos I took during it. I wonder if it would be showable. I just don't know which one's which, so maybe it's not quite worth it just yet. But um, I did edit some of mine. Let me see here. Um, some photos from that trip, and
Let's see it.
let me pull them up here. Let's fast forward to this. Okay, adding it back in here. Here we go. So here is Agathla Peak at sunset. Beautiful, beautiful feature. I'm not sure if the resolution is really coming in well here. Google Photos seems to be lagging a bit here, probably because all the bandwidth. But here's the eclipse. Um,
Oh man.
that was the most centered I was able to get out of the shots. We were just off the center line, so it wasn't 100% in the middle. It was just a little bit off, but this was the most complete annular eclipse shot I was able to get.
That's
Um,
so cool, man.
so again, I wonder if I pinch and zoom, does that zoom in? Does that
Yep.
zoom in? Sweet. Okay. So if you go in close enough, you can see
I'm gonna
the,
pixel peep.
yeah, right. You can see the mountains of the moon. like it's not a perfect circle of the moon. You can see ridge lines and
Oh man,
craters. Um,
I didn't even think about that. That's so
yeah.
gnarly.
So go back to your images later and take a look, because you'll be able to see those details, I'm sure. Um, it's really neat what you can see with something like this. But that's our moon doing its job. Um, let's see if I can zoom out here again.
That's so cool, man. Just flying hundreds of miles out just for some photos.
Right?
Like that's it. Like just to see something and snap a couple photos.
Yeah.
That
And
is awesome, bro.
this was a progression photo that I made. I took into Photoshop, and um, obviously we have the just the sun on either end, like bookending the process. But from sun to sun, left to right, that's 3 hours of imagery on each side. So you can see it just starting to move in, and then it kind of centers up and then moves out of the frame. So it was a really cool moment. And then I also kind of reordered it into a circle. So
Oh, that's so cool, dude.
try to
That
just
is awesome.
envision it in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for the comments in the comment section here. Really appreciate it. Oh, you should make those into t-shirts and stickers. Ooh, that's something I
Yeah.
might have to consider.
That should go on the wall too, man. That's so cool.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I only have one print of my astrophotography in my own office
Oh, bro.
here. I need to do some more.
Do it.
So that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. So that's just a little bit of what we saw while we were out there. I am producing a video that I have not finished editing. But like you, I've been sitting on those raw
I feel a
data
little bit
for a long
better,
time.
but yeah.
Right. Totally. But I did shoot a bunch of vlog material of the trip, and if you guys stick around and I'm going to shamelessly plug, if you subscribe to the Orbital Alliance, you'll see that video come along hopefully in the next couple of weeks. I don't want to let that one slide into next year. So you guys can see all of our emotion. You can see the moment where Tan and I actually met. I did record that, and it's all going to be there. So it was such a good trip.
It was, man. A trip that I won't forget anytime soon.
Yeah. And yeah, it was there were so many other cool things we got to do while we were there. We got to go out and just see the landscape of the West. And I had not explored that part of our country yet. It was really cool to check out Arizona and in Utah. I'd been to like Phoenix and Tucson before, but in the Grand Canyon even, but like going up North Arizona, South Utah, I've never been to that corridor.
Beautiful.
And you told us about the toadstool hoodoos.
Yeah. I love the toadstools, man.
And we almost went together. And rightfully so. You were tired that night, so we didn't end up meeting up because that trip was just exhausting. But you recommended going to this place called the Toadstool Hoodoos, and there's these natural rock formations that look like these skinny looking mushrooms that they just exist. And
Very alien. Yeah, it was like a straight out of a sci-fi movie, man.
yeah. And you had said, like, dude, you got to go see these. And we were like, okay, great. So Doug and I went one of the nights, and maybe I should show those photos because
yeah, please. They got to see it.
yeah.
You guys got to see this place.
Yeah, let me get the resolution to load in here. I got the photo pulled up. There we go. So this was a shot that I got of the Toadstool Hoodoos with the Milky Way above it. So that little rocky formation there, kind of left of center, is the hoodoo. And I didn't get to tell you the story because we didn't end up getting a good conversation after that eclipse event. Doug had been there before, but it was like 5 years ago, and it was in the daylight. We showed up at 11 p.m. or something like that.
Ooh.
Pitch black, and you're walking on a sandy trail that literally snakes.
Sketchy, bro.
And has like rock slides that have like covered the path, and we were literally following footprints in the sand, and you cannot see this rock in the pitch black. And it took, gosh, I don't know what, half an hour to walk to. It was like a mile into the rocks off of the road. And we got lost a couple times. And I was like, there is no way we're getting out of this.
Oh my God.
I had this message in the back of my head that was like, you are, and we have like, again, no reception either. So we were like really, really lost. And I was like, oh gosh, this is gonna be bad. Um, I don't know about you. I still do occasionally. I played a lot of Minecraft. So,
Waiting for those green guys to come out.
oh yeah, the creepers, right?
Yeah.
But like one of the strategies that like Minecraft gamers will use, like if you're cave diving, you literally can get lost in caves in Minecraft because they just look like natural tunnels and they keep snaking off. But one of the strategies people use is to put torches on one side of the wall. So that way, if you turn around, you know which way is out because you just know there are torches on the right side of the wall or whatever it is. Well, I was out there. I'm like, I need to start leaving clues to like help me figure out which way is the right way out. Cause the next best strategy was for me to camp there and wait until sunrise.
Oh man.
It was the most terrifying thing. And luckily we got out of there just fine on the first attempt. We followed our footprints out in the sand and were able to like get out. We had a pretty good rate of success, but it was terrifying. It was again dead silent, pitch black. There were no crickets. There was no like animals. There's no wind. It was just dead silent in these dark rocks, and it's you in the night sky, and you get to see this, the thing that I took a picture of. Absolutely insane. So
Incredible
thank you for the
photo.
recommendation. It was absolutely crazy. Let me show you. This was a Star Trail shot too that I got with the hoodoo in the background. I'm not sure if you can see the shadow, the silhouette right there.
That's awesome.
And this was with the GoPro, believe it or not.
Oh wow, that looks awesome, man.
The new GoPro 12 has an Astro Star Trail setting, and literally just select it and hit record, and it takes a picture. So
we're getting spoiled with all this tech now.
Yeah, I know, we really are. Gosh, yeah. So many cool places out there. You had gone over to the Slot Canyon the last day that we were there.
Peekaboo Canyon.
Peekaboo Canyon, right? And and we were texting because we were actually going to meet up with your try to. We were just a little bit out of sync with time, but you had told us don't go there because the sand, like you get stuck in the sand in your car, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was really cool, man. But I wouldn't recommend going there if you didn't. Really, the trail was just meant for like UTVs or ATVs, and we're like, okay, well, we have a Jeep, so we could do anything we want. Like it's a Jeep, and yeah, we got stuck a few times, and there's a few moments where we're like, I don't think we're gonna be able to get out of here.
Right.
But it was cool. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I was bummed we didn't get to see it, but maybe next time we go back out there, yeah, I'll show up with Cybertruck and it'll all be good.
Heck yeah.
Here we got a thing here. If I thought about making prints of this, thank you so much. I do sell prints, but I have not uploaded these new ones to my website. So when I do, I'll be sure to find some way to promote it to my social channels, and that would be so appreciated if you find that interesting to buy. Which raises the question, Tan, do you sell any of your work, any of your Astro work?
I do, and I kind of don't. I have sold some stuff, but it's not something that I like am currently really pursuing. I'd like to, but I just have so many other projects that I want to do before I get into that.
For sure. Yeah, it is an endeavor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I also don't like push it like super like forcefully. I kind of have it in the background. I've sold a couple things, but it's not like it's not like my entire focus. I want to do that, but it's tough because you kind of need to be always refreshing it with new things. Some of the most successful astrophotographers who sell prints are like putting out new content like every week. And I'm just not always like producing new things. So I find that challenging. And I'm not sure if you feel the same way, but
absolutely. Some of my prints are like 2 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they're still really cool, but I'm like, it's kind of old. It's expired.
Exactly. Yeah. It's expired. Yeah. They got a shelf life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's Doug, who was on our trip that you got to meet. Your description of the desert walk was so real. I felt like I was there. I know, dude. Right? It was so like invasive in our psyche. Impossible to forget for sure. Joe, you asked, is that Starlink that we saw? Let me put up my shot again here. Are you talking about? Let me scoot the image over.
Yeah, at the top, right
over here.
Let's see.
It's like dotted line. It is not Starlink. just to confirm, it's probably an airplane because the exposures would have been incremental and it just would have caught like certain moments of it along the way and during the time there. So, yeah, definitely an airplane in the shot, and they ruined it a couple times. But of course, there's nothing you can do about it. But good question, man. Good question. If we had seen Starlink, it most likely would have been a solid line. We would have seen across. But yeah,
Real quick tangent. I wanna shout you out, man, because you got me into actually looking for the Starlinks. I know my video just cut out.
yeah,
Like,
no
give a
worries. No,
second.
it's all good.
You had an incredible video, just some footage of Starlink, and it was so high quality. And I was like, how is this guy always seeing Starlink? And I've only seen it at the time. I think I've only seen it once, and it was such an incredible experience. I was freaking out, thought it was aliens. I'm like, come on, let's go, take me, beat me up. So I at the time I didn't know about this website, this awesome website called heavensabove.com, where you can pretty much track anything. And ever since then, I've had I don't know, maybe 7 to 10 somewhere in there encounters with Starlink, and every single time it's such an exciting moment because it's something that's so unique, and you, especially if you have never seen Starlink before, it's really neat. It's very weird.
Yeah. So for those who are watching who don't know what Starlink is, SpaceX, the rocket company that currently is contracted for NASA, that's Elon Musk's rocket company. They have this internet service that they provide using these satellites called Starlink, and they launch them in groups. They used to launch them up to 60 satellites. Now the version 2s, they launch in about 20 to 23 satellites, and you can see them with your naked eye as they deploy after they launch into space. So you can see this line of satellites that goes across the night sky. They're absolutely stunning to see. It's unlike anything that we've ever seen. It's almost like if you saw 20 airplanes at night, just going in a perfectly straight line across the sky. Mesmerizing, in most cases jaw-dropping, and for people who would be uninformed who would see this, I would understand completely if you had a total freak out because it's that abnormal to see. Let me see if I can pull up. I've got a montage here of, or actually, let's see this. Yeah, let's see this. I'm going to share my screen again so people can see what we're talking about. Because I would love to peg your brain a little bit more about Starlink here. Share screen. Let's do. Okay, I think we're seeing this. Let me. It's a bit larger. Okay, so you guys see that string of lights that's coming up above the tree there? That is Starlink. So if you guys have not seen it before, this is what it looks like. And it just drifts across the sky. And this particular photo, I believe, is, or video rather, gosh, I'm going to guess about a day after launch, maybe less. It could be somewhere between 12 and 18 hours after launch. The clump starts really short, and as the days go by, within like next week, they spread out and they wrap around the Earth to kind of create like a connection, like a line. And they have launched literally thousands. There's like 5,000 of them in space already. They're going to be launching more. They launch every week, and you can see them. And again, like, just look at this. Like, they're like, if you didn't know what you were seeing, like my sister saw it 2 weeks ago, and she texted me. She's like, "What did I just see?" And I was like, oh, "That's definitely Starlink." She took a phone photo of it, and she's like, "Oh, I thought it was the Russians." Like, oh my gosh, like
that's awesome.
Which, I mean, like, you would, I mean, thinking it's a weapon of war or a national security threat, like, I don't blame anybody who would think that. Like, there's nothing else to explain for it. And nobody made any sort of announcement saying that this is what's going to happen, right?
Exactly.
There's no Amber Alert for this. You
just see it and you're like, oh my God, what's happening? I'm going to tell my loved ones goodbye.
Yeah, right. So you start calling people. And yeah, the number of comments I get on my videos on Starlink of people who are like, I had one today. Someone said their dad called them to tell them they love them because they were like, I don't know what's happening. I'm scared.
Dude, that's so funny.
And I was like, see, Starlink bringing people together. Um, so yeah, here's
Wolverines.
a what's up, Scott? Here saw Starlink from my backyard, freaked out, and or one of my friends saw it, and he did the whole alien thing. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Elon. Yep, got it. He's who's responsible. Um, hey, Mike, what's going on, man? He's one of my buddies here. You missed him every time. Don't worry, man. There's gonna be no shortage of Starlink. You'll see a ton of them. I know Joe saw one on his live stream randomly once. That was so
Oh,
cool.
no way.
He was like
Oh,
streaming
dude,
the
that's
moon
awesome.
once, and then he's like, "Oh, it's Starlink." He like reaimed his phone. He like pulled his phone off of his telescope. Ashley, hoping I can see this one day. Yeah, you definitely will. We'll talk about it in just a second. Again, you Tan was mentioning one of the ways that you can find it. Yeah, and it's funny seeing people's reaction to it. A lot of people still don't know about them, and I see both opinions on that all the time. I think yours is definitely the more correct one. A lot of people argue like, how have people not seen these? How do people not know about it? I'm like, I think the vast majority, like 99% of the human populace, have no idea what these are. And I would agree. I think most people would be utterly terrified otherwise. Tiffany, so surreal to see. I saw it in person twice, and both times were incredible. That's awesome. I hope you get to see it some more times, 2 more times even. And you probably saw a difference in what they looked like between those 2 times. Maybe it was a more condensed train, maybe they're more spread out, and there's some space in between. Very, very cool. Yeah. So Tan, let's talk about you and Starlink real quick. Because I've seen your content about it too, and it's I see your joy when you see it. You're like, oh, there it is. Like describe the feeling when you see it for the first time.
I thought it was aliens the first time for sure. um, it's like you said, it's just no one really gives you a heads up. It kind of just happens, and first of all, I feel like a lot of people don't spend a lot of time looking up, anyways, and which is why we have these very. I want to get into it, but we'll have these very controversial videos about people saying like, well, "Why is the moon not up?" or "I saw the moon and the sun at the same time," and people just simply aren't aware of how things work. So for someone who's in astronomy for the last 3 years and still not knowing about Starlink, I mean, I could understand, but it is extremely exciting. It's just weird. I think that's the best way I can describe it. It's very exciting, and it's unique, and you just can't help but just stare at it and wonder like, oh my god, look at it, just look at it. And you just watch the whole pass. It's beautiful, very
Yeah.
exciting.
And what's cool about it is sometimes, well, I guess let's explain this. The optimum times to see Starlink are at dawn and dusk. So like just before the sunlight really starts taking over the sky, well before the sunrise. And then on the other side of the day, like sun is set, but dusk is really setting in. There's really no light in the sky because that's when the angles of reflection of sunlight are coming back to Earth. That's the best time to see any satellite. If you even go an hour or 2 past that, you're now in the Earth's shadow, and there's no reflected light coming from any artificial satellite in the night sky. So for the most part, most of them are in like low Earth orbit. So Starlink, the space station, things like that. The occasional ones are further out. You can still see those later into the night, but they're harder to find. But if you go out in those like pre-dawn, post-dusk timeframes, the sky is alive with satellites. They're so easy to find now, and that's the time that you can see Starlink. So if you're kind of like driving home from work, you might just look out your window. If it's like after sunset, you might be able to see it.
That's cool.
Like it's pretty amazing. Gosh, yeah. I'm trying to think of like some of the other like. So the space station. Have you had the chance to see the International Space Station before?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've done a few transits. I've done
Mm.
a solar and a lunar transit, and I've only done them once, one time each. But those were kind of like my intro to like Starlink. It was almost like trying a California roll before jumping into the real sushi, right? I was like, oh my god, there it is, the ISS. And then even doing the I don't know how to pronounce it. The Chinese space station, the
Yeah, the
Tiangong.
Tiangong.
Tiangong, yeah,
Mhm.
and that was cool. Imagine something as bright as like maybe Jupiter, even Venus, just like yeeting across the sky. It is so fascinating,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Right. Yeah, and to explain the concept of a transit, we've talked about them on previous episodes and in my live streams that I've done in the past. If you're a veteran of my channel, but that's when you can see the International Space Station go in front of the sun or the moon, and that's something that Tan has captured, something that I've captured. It's so much fun. They're really intense opportunities, and I'm sure you felt the tension in the moment, right, during those events when you're like, I have to nail this. Are my settings correct? Because it literally takes a second or less for the space station to go and pass because it's traveling at 17,500 miles per hour in space. Um, and the viewing angle that we have, that like is, if this was the circle of the sun or whatever, it just goes
You can
and it's,
blink and miss it.
yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And if you're not recording or you're not like snapping photos, I've had this happen to me several times. I've attempted so many times that
Mm,
have failed where I've been like, I just saw it and I was not prepared, or I wasn't recording, or I forgot to press this setting or something. And then you literally only have your failure to soak in in those moments.
like,
'Cause
wait, did it happen? I don't
and
see anything.
you start telling yourself lies. Like, certainly it's coming up still. Like I'm looking at
The
my
clock's
phone and like this has
daylight
got to be the wrong
savings.
minute. Like
Yeah,
it's the phone's fault. Um,
it can't be. Yeah.
yeah. So those are really cool things to see. Um, yeah, the space station, is this wonderful gem that we have available to us. It can be so bright in the night sky, and you can see that it's brighter than Starlink, um, as bright as Venus can be in the night sky, if not brighter. And yeah, it's a wonderful gift that we have to be able to see humanity working and living in space. Actually, today is the 25th anniversary of the first module launching into space. Did you know that? That
No,
fun fact. The
that's awesome.
It's the Zarya module, like the Russian module, got sent up in 1998. And people have been continuously inhabiting the space station since 2000. So it's like 23 years of continuous habitation in space. There's never been a moment since November of 2000 where we have not had somebody in space at this point, which is super cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Cheers, cheers to that.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
cool.
I'll raise a glass to that. Cheers to the space station, bro. Yeah.
Too far to reach, but
Yeah, right. Only like about 700 miles.
that is
Maybe
so
not that
cool.
much. Probably like 400. Um, Sweet. Yeah. So like tell me about your social media presence, Chasing the Milk. Like we've talked about what you have done, what you currently are doing. You mentioned something earlier about Chasing the Milk 2.0, and you and I had a chance to talk about this at McDonald's in Kayenta, Arizona a little bit. Tell us more about your plans for the future for your social media presence and astrophotography and like what you want to do.
Man, that's a really good question, and it's one that I don't know how to answer because I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, no worries. And no pressure to
Um,
share. Like if it's something that's still deep in your mind and you want to keep it yourself, let's
oh
change the
no
topic.
way, no, I'm an open book, man, and it's a really good question, and I'm excited to answer it. Um, I think since I started TikTok 3 years ago, um, the Astro community is nothing like what I remember. It is completely blown up to the point where I feel like it is physically impossible for me to try to like be with everyone and like be like attend everyone's live streams or say hi to everyone just because it's so much. It's a good problem to have. And right now, like I think I'm always gonna do the moon streams just because I love Luna. I'm absolutely obsessed with the moon and it will always be. And of course, the meteor shower streams. Um, I'm just gonna completely try to go nuts with that. But I want to bring something else to the table, and I just haven't figured it out yet. I want to yeah, man. I don't know. I'm kind of just figuring it out still, but I know that I feel like there's so many other Astro creators now, uh, and it's like I don't know. This is probably the competitive side of me, but like it's like I kind of want to be like the best, you know.
Mhm.
So I don't know what that I don't know what that will look like, and there's more than enough room to share with everyone, of course. But I don't know. I just want to be the best at what I do, and the biggest thing I really want to focus on is like teaching.
Mm.
I've never really considered myself to be a teacher, or maybe there's just like this imposter syndrome that is like, why would anyone like listen to me? Like, who am I? Like, I'm just an average student. I didn't go to school for this. There's a lot of people that know more than I do, but for me, I find it really rewarding whenever whatever I do know, whenever I teach people and they get excited about it. That almost just kind of like ignites this like this fire. I'm like, man, this guy learned something because of me. Like, who am I? You know. So I guess to answer your question, I'm still figuring it out. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but I'm really determined, and I have such an awesome community that I feel like it will just back me up no matter what I do. And whatever it is, I'm gonna try to be the absolute best at it as possible because I don't know. There's no reason to half-ass anything.
Right, totally. Yeah, I totally respect that perspective, and the thing is, like, about that concept of, like, wanting to be the best, like, you've certainly earned the right to pursue that with, like, all the nobility in the world because you have, like, whether you like it or not, you've led people to discover cool things about life, about the night sky, whether it's through the moon or meteor streams or any other parts of your content, you know, you probably will never know. Like, I don't think any of us as creators will ever really know the impact, the scope of our impact. And I mean, just look at your content. It's all positive. It's all encouraging, and you've put great care into curating experiences for people. Like, I think, in a sense, that really does make you a leader in the industry. And I'm not talking about follower count, which you certainly have, but like, I think there's another way to be a leader, and I think you have those qualities, and those come naturally to you, and you've built that prowess, and you steward it well. So I think looking ahead to this next season, like I think you really do have what it takes to find the next new thing that nobody else is doing. And like you said, I think your community, the Milk Gang, like they'll follow you right into it, and that's why I say that you'll be that you're a natural leader in that sense. Is that when people respect not just what you're doing, but you as a person, they'll still follow you. And I think the proof will be there when you do make a move onto whatever the next thing is, for sure. So, yeah, and I'll be one of them. I will gladly support you in the next thing, whatever it is. I no doubt you'll come up with a very creative way of exhibiting your passion and love for space, or even if it's beyond that. Like, there's so much more in the world to enjoy, right?
Yeah, yeah. That was man, that was well said, bro. And like you are gonna be one of those people that are, in a sense, gonna be leading something else. Like I think everyone can be a leader in a sense. And like what I mean by I want to be like when I'm super competitive, I think everyone should have this mentality that they should push to absolutely like do the best they can. I know it sounds really cliche, but something I see not just in the Astro community, but in really all kinds of niches, is that people kind of get comfortable, and I am definitely guilty of it. And sometimes it reflects in my work. But we get to the point where we're like, okay, like maybe so and so did this, so I can also do this. And I'm not, shaming or dismissing anyone that does that, but there's something about trying to do something that's so freaking cool that makes someone else wants to do something that because like I get my inspirations from like everyone else. Like you getting me to do Starlink, bro. Like you were a leader in that right in that sense. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm not gonna try to top you, but that's inspiring me to absolutely try to do something like that. So I mean, everyone should just like reach for the stars, really.
Yeah, right. Um, well, and like, what better topic than space? Like, it's the ultimate like imagination like centered thing. Like there's so many amazing things in the world, but like a literally endless expanse that is like surrounds every single human being. Like you can't escape the night sky no matter where you live. And that just shows that there's never going to be a lack of something to talk about or something to share, with that topic, you know.
Yeah, for sure,
Um,
man. It's cool. It's neat.
mhm. Thanks everybody for chiming in the chat. It looks like it's very alive. I'm doing my best to kind of keep up with stuff as I see it coming. Spaceflight guy, good to see you. Welcome in. Glad you have joined. I see you here. He's a longtime TikTok buddy of mine.
I
We've
didn't know
got
you guys knew each other. His stuff is awesome, man.
Yeah, he does incredible coverage
Yeah.
of live like launch moments. And he actually showed me like did a great service to me when I was getting started in TikTok earlier this year. Gosh, I think it was maybe January or something. When I hit 1,000 followers, I was able to go live for the first time, and I was just sitting here in my room. I'm like, guys, I'm live. This is so cool. And he came in and sent his whole Discord in and swamped me and got like all this love. And I was getting gifts and stuff. And I was like, I couldn't. It was beside myself. It was a really cool thing. So massive respect for the spaceflight guy. And he asked a really good question.
Awesome.
So what were your thoughts on the Starship launch? Did you get to watch that on Saturday?
I did.
Mm-hmm. What did you think?
So I was half asleep, man. We just got done doing a 5-hour stream from the Leonids, and someone mentioned that's happening, and they're like, "You should stream it." And I was like, "Man, I don't know enough about it, and I know that there would be other people to do it because I feel like I would just be the worst commentator. I'd be like, "Oh, look, it's going up. Oh, it's cool. Oh, what the heck just happened?" I thought it's super inspirational to me. It's so cool to see the reactions of people because you can almost feel that same emotion. I think it's such an important thing, and I thought it was cool. I don't know too much about like how it all works, but I saw it and I saw was it the second booster?
So yeah,
or the initial.
The booster, the one that took it up exploded, and then the Starship kept going, and I think they chose to detonate it at a certain point.
So when I was watching it, I really didn't know what was going on. I was like, "Oh, cool! Like that looks really cool." And then I'm looking around. I'm trying to like read the room. I'm like, "Wait a second." I'm reading the chat. I'm like, "Oh, wait, that's not a great thing." Kind of. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, it was. So for those of you who are trying to figure out what the heck we're talking about, so more SpaceX content here because they're kind of dominating the space scene right now in terms of launches. They're currently pioneering a brand new space launch system. That's not a play on the SLS from NASA, using the term literally, called Starship. And they're using two parts. It's like a big rocket. It's called Super Heavy, and on top they're stacking the actual spaceship. It's called Starship. So they're testing it. They've been testing it in southern Texas, and they've been doing all sorts of prototypes over the past few years. And now they're starting to get the iterations of the rocket that start to look more and more like the final rocket. So we're getting really close to getting this thing to launch into space successfully, which is really hard because it's the biggest, most powerful rocket ever. Which takes testing and a lot of failure to get right. It's a science experiment. So they build these prototypes with the intention of them either blowing up or crashing. And that's what most of them have done at this point. So they did the second attempt at launching it into orbital space, actually around Earth, this past Saturday. And it was a marvelous thing. You can look up SpaceX and on YouTube or anywhere and find these video clips. And they launched it and made it really high, much further than the one that happened in April. And then the booster, of course, exploded at one point. And but it's all due to like some of the things they just don't know yet. They don't know how these things are going to fare. There's a lot of variables, and they also didn't quite make it into orbit with the actual Starship. I think it was like 90+% of the way there, and they're like, "This isn't going well. Something's wrong. Let's detonate it so it doesn't cause any problems." Gone. So,
Wow.
So yeah, it's cool. You're able to watch these events. You were able to see it, and even though you're tired, I'm glad you did get to kind of watch it, and as it was happening, because it's definitely history unfolding.
Yeah.
Um, Gosh, here looking at kind of pulling up all the other the comments here. Looking,
Mhm.
um, thank you everybody for chiming in. Um, Let's look at this one here. So, have you ever wanted to take a trip to Starbase, Texas, where they're building these prototypes and see a rocket garden, the rocket garden where they have all the like pre-built rockets and or a full stack, so the actual rocket stacked on top of it? Tan, would you ever drive down or fly down to Starbase, Texas, to take a look?
Absolutely, for
Hmm.
sure. I've been wanting just to even see a launch, from like, what is it, Florida, right?
Yeah.
Cape Canaveral
Hmm.
or somewhere. Yeah, I would love to actually see it in person because that's got to be something that's so just overwhelmingly cool. Just if you can probably feel it too, I'd imagine, and hear it. Hear that that roar. Absolutely.
Yeah. Totally. I've been to two, um, and they're very, very cool events. I highly, highly recommend experiencing a rocket launch as close as you can get. And yeah, most launches happen out of Florida. They also happen out of the Los Angeles area at Vandenberg Space. Or I guess it's technically still the Air Force Base out there. Maybe it's a Space Force base. So if you're in LA, you can see SpaceX launching from out of there. And you can also see
Oh, I didn't know
rocket
that.
launch. Yeah, totally. They launch Starlink occasionally out from Vandenberg. And then you can go to Wallops out in Virginia and see rocket launches from there. So
Oh, cool.
depending
I
on
had
where
no
you're
idea.
at, totally. Yeah, there's lots of different places. And other private companies are also launching out of other places. Virgin Galactic launches out of New Mexico. I think Blue Origin is also launching out of New Mexico. And then there's another company, Astra. They do launches out of Alaska. So you kind of have
That's gnarly.
more of a spread these days of being able to see rocket launches in different places. So
That's so
um,
cool, bro. I literally thought it was just Florida and Texas.
totally. Well, you got
That's so
options
cool.
now, man. And if you ever want to
Yeah,
go, let me know. I'll go with you.
we might need to go hang out with Moonlegs, the Solar Eclipse Festival. Do you even know what you're doing for the Solar Eclipse?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, there we go. Hey, there we go. Moonlegs making an invitation right here in the chat. I I am ashamed that I do not have plans booked yet, and I am thinking about it actively in my head, but I have not landed anything. Partially
Same.
because ever since we went to Arizona last month, I've been traveling a couple times since then, and my brain has just been so scattered with going to different places that I haven't been able to actually like lock my brain into the future. um, but I think at this point I'm probably behind the eight ball, and hotels are going to be expensive. But looks like we've got a connection here.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
But yeah, I think seeing Starship would just be absolutely insane. I know that South Padre Island area, the viewership, there's just hordes of people out there watching from miles away and seeing the largest rocket ever go up. I mean, it's got to be next level. I mean, seeing a Falcon 9 is incredible, but that's 9 engines. If you have 33 engines that are inside of a super heavy booster, like that has to
33.
be
That's what it is.
33 engines.
Sheesh.
Seriously, dude. It's got to be like absolutely nuts. Um, let's see. Okay, here's a quick question: are they open to the public, and if so, how close can you get? Yeah, I mean, you can get as close as you want for the most part. The closest you want to get without being dangerous is about 3 miles, and that's
Oh my god, really?
yeah.
That's gnarly, dude. Holy
Yeah, it
crap.
might. When I went to see Falcon 9 last year, you can pay for tickets at Kennedy Space Center in Florida to get to the observation gantry, which is like a tower. It's just like stairs, and that's it. And it's like platforms. And you can view Launchpad 40, Launch Complex 40, where SpaceX launches. They also launch out of 39A, which is the historic site from the space shuttle and the Apollo eras. But you're like, I think you might be like a hair under 3 miles away. And that's about as loud and as close as you can literally get. But you have to pay like $70 or something for a ticket to get up
Hmm.
close. Otherwise, you are going to be like in Florida, if you're in like Titusville, you're like 11 miles away or something like that. So it's significantly further. But you can see them from a long way out. So yeah, definitely open to the public, and you won't miss it if you're in the area. That's for sure.
Let's
Just
all
make
go.
sure it's go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just say, let's all go.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
That'd be cool.
You don't need to ask me twice. Portillo's is going to start launching out of Chicago.
What's Portillo? Is that like a restaurant or something?
Oh my gosh, Joe, we need
Portillo's?
to educate Tan.
Help me out. Portillo's.
Okay, so Portillo's is a legendary like fast food chain out of Chicagoland, where Joe and I are from. And it started as like a little food cart in like the 1960s or something, and now it's this massive chain. It's known for their Italian beefs and their like burgers and their hot dogs, and their shakes. Their chocolate cake shake is like their dessert, legendary dessert. They like literally grind up a piece of chocolate cake into a shake. They also serve like entire chocolate cakes, which are also legendary. So good. Joe and I just met up at a Portillo's 2 weeks ago, and it's so good. They're all over Chicagoland. They're actually spreading. There should actually be. There's one in Springfield, Illinois. So if you just hop over the border, you could get there.
Dude, let's all meet up. Let's just go get Portillo's. I'd be so down to go out there just to eat.
That's what I'm talking about. And there's one in Florida too, and there's one in Anaheim, California, and Scottsdale, Arizona. I think they're all over. They're
Nice.
legendary. They're so good.
Portillo's. Got it.
So yeah, we'll give you the Portillo's treatment.
Heck yeah, I'm down.
Oh my gosh.
That sounds good. Man, I'm hungry now.
Dude, oh, they're amazing. They just opened a brand new one, like all of 5 minutes down the road from me. It just opened this week, and I'm so stoked. There's one already like 15 minutes down the road. Now there's one like even closer. So I'm like, this is so good.
I'm down, bro. Yeah, I'm down to go.
Kind of want to rewind here a little bit. We were talking about inspirational people, and that pegged the question in my head. I really want to ask you, like maybe not so much specifically about astronomy or like the content creation world or like, our local group. Who are people in your mind who like just totally inspire you? Or like are there people in history or people that you know personally that are like help define who you are?
Yeah, that's a good question. So before I was Chasingthemilk, by trade, I'm a videographer. So, I shot a lot of weddings, a lot of commercials, and I knew how to use a camera. And I got to film some really cool stuff. There's this entrepreneur dude that basically wanted his own personal videographer. So just picture your classic rich dude. It's really cool, like just going on these cool trips and networking. And he needed someone to film him. So I was the guy. We traveled so many places, and I got to meet some of the coolest people. And sometimes I would be sitting in rooms full of millionaires, and all these guys were complaining how they were only making $300,000 a year, and how did they get to the next level? And I'm sitting here and I'm recording all these guys, and I'm like, this is crazy. This is a completely different circle than what I'm used to. Like these guys truly have an insane amount of wealth. So I quickly learned that, like when I'm recording these guys, I'm just really soaking it all in. I'm trying to get as much as I can because this is a good opportunity for me to kind of like suck some inspiration. And a lot of these guys are just like us, man. They are exactly like us. And I guess you answered your question. They were big inspirations because I realized that they were just human, and they were just hard workers, and they were just smart. Like people, whenever people say like work smarter, not harder, like now I take that very seriously because I truly understand on how these guys are doing things. Like they're on a completely different level, but but you would never know. Sometimes you would just walk past him in the street and you would know this guy is like, the top 1% or whatever. The second part of inspiration, I don't remember. Someone asked me this not too long ago, but it's actually a lot of the community. This goes back to what I was saying earlier. There's something about like opening up your phone and going through your messages and saying and seeing someone say, "Hey, chasing the milk, you probably won't ever see this, but just letting you know, I bought my first telescope because of you, and I love astronomy." And there's like hundreds of these messages, and honestly, like my inboxes are so just it's crazy. Like I have messages from last year that I still haven't had a chance to read, but I know that I'm doing something right,
Mhm.
and these people that I'll never get to meet, like they're my inspiration too, man. Like I do it because I'm doing something that is helping someone else, and it's crazy to me. It's such a rewarding feeling to be able to read messages like that. So a lot of it is just the community. You know,
Mhm.
I feel like whenever you give something and you see it working, it's just fuel, man. It lights a fire in me.
Yeah, that's really great. Um, if you could pass on one piece of wisdom to a complete stranger about life in general, what might something like that look like for you?
Damn, man, that's like a good one. I think give yourself some time to like you got to take care of yourself, and this is something that I'm still working with.
Mhm.
um a lot of us will try to like do so, and I see this all the time, probably a lot of people in the chat here, but people will do so much that they forget to check on themselves, and like you can't pour from an empty cup. And it's really easy for us to not see these things because you're like, oh dude, I just did this, or I just did this. And especially as a content creator, you're like, for me at least, once I get going, man, I go, like I grind. And
Mhm.
I have to remind myself that if I don't stop, I'm going to hit a wall. And I've hit many walls during my journey of TikTok. Some of the OGs probably have seen this, but there were times where I would completely disappear from social media for like maybe a week, 2 weeks, even a month. Like
Mhm.
here's Chasing the Milk streaming every single night um, for like a week or for a month straight, and then you won't hear from me. And it's because I'm like, I'm just trying to figure, I'm trying to like heal myself. So
Yeah.
I guess to kind of like give you a shorter answer,
Mhm.
don't be afraid to just take time for yourself because the stars aren't going to go anywhere. And then the people who are watching you, like they're not going to go anywhere. They'll always be there for you. But if you drag yourself to the ground, man, it's gonna be a rough one.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Um, and I think that that topic has risen so far to the surface in the recent years, last like 4 years. Um, Obviously, we got to spend a heck of a lot of times with ourselves um, during the pandemic, and realizing like, oh gosh, like I am, not in a good place. Like, what do I need to do to take care of mental health given the scenario? Like realizing like sometimes the walls feel like they're closing in, work life balance, all that stuff. Really started to highlight that for most people in the world. And I think, you know, I think you're really onto something that being intentional about self care is probably one of the most important things you can simply do in your life. And um, you just have to make time for it, really. Right.
Yeah, that that was always the trickiest part for me is making time for it because I was like, dude, I'll push through it, man. I'll be good. Like it's not that big of a deal, and it's so crazy because I feel like the last 3 years, man, something happened. Something happened with everyone because there was a time where I feel like everyone was just always like, "Hey, man, how's it going?" And they would brag about how awesome they're doing, and everyone was just doing awesome. And then now people are like, I'm all right, I'm doing okay," and you're like, "Dude, you're probably you probably just need some time for yourself."
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just it's a weird time, and weirdly, astronomy well, astronomy was is what always keeps me grounded. Anytime I get in these funks, when I do remind myself that um, I'm allowed to look at the stars off stream, I always enjoy those moments. So for me, being a full time content creator, it's difficult. It's difficult because like my passion uh, became a job, and that's where things got really weird. Something that I really enjoy now is going to determine whether I get paid or not.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I feel like I'm understanding that balance a little bit better, but just realizing that it's okay to take some time for yourself, dude, that is the most important thing for sure.
Yeah, man. I would be curious to know what a world would look like where every single person did that. You know, like if you like, everyone took a
Oof.
week and then just like that was all they focused on. Like, what would the world look like? I mean, it's probably an answer we'll never see the reality of, but um, I think that doesn't mean we get a free pass to not do it. Just because that's an impossible venture. But I think you're onto something. There's an importance there, and tapping into your passions. In your case, astronomy. You know, taking a moment to disconnect, let the night sky refuel you, and get back at it when you can, when you're ready. Right.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I agree that I don't think like we'll ever get there, but we are like we have these platforms, you and I, man, and even the people with just 50 followers or 60 followers, like I started there. Um, we're we're gonna create this ripple effect, and it's not gonna happen overnight, but eventually, like the community is just gonna get so big, hopefully, that people do at least start to realize that at the end of the day we're just a tiny little speck on a rock, and maybe it's okay to not flick the guy off because he cut you off or he didn't use his turn signal or whatever like makes you mad.
Right.
So we're all on a mission, man, and every single bit of one of us collectively, no matter how big we are or how small we are, we're moving the needle forward, and slow progress is still progress.
Yeah. Exactly. Um, I love this. Ever since 2020, I've developed a sense of urgency to live, if that makes any
Dude,
sense. Oh, it makes total sense. And that's an amazing way to put it.
what's up,
Um,
Astro?
yeah. Yeah. Good
Love
to
it.
see you in here. Um, urgency to live. I agree. And I've been trying to tap into that myself. And that was like, I think our trip to Arizona, like, I think that was a perfect opportunity where like you and I took advantage of that urgency. It was like you and I both could have just done whatever we wanted or actively been like, that's some weird dude from the internet. Like, don't really want to like, you know, you know what I mean though? Like we could have very easily
I
dismissed
was
it.
like, this guy's gonna kill me, bro.
Yeah, I know, right? Out in the middle of the Arizona desert. Like
Yeah,
who
during
knows
the
what would
eclipse
happen?
too. Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. It's like who
it
knows what
gets a
would
little
happen.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's like
during eclipses.
werewolf season. Um, but yeah, like there's sometimes the opportunities present themselves to you, other times you have to manufacture those opportunities and take advantage of those moments, and I think that takes courage, and that urgency, like that. I love the word. It's like sometimes like life, you'll miss so much of it if you don't make a choice to pursue it. Let's bring it all full circle to chasing the milk here, like chasing life. Like I think that's a key component to really engaging with the human experience. And if you are doing that, it doesn't mean you're gonna be successful 100%. It doesn't mean all the things are gonna go well. The people you meet, the places you go, the endeavors you pursue, like, and that's fine. But like, I would much rather know that I had a loaded schedule full of things that I was like, I'm gonna try to do this the right way that makes me feel alive and energized versus being like, well, I'm just going to sit around this weekend yet again and do nothing and
Mhm.
watch my motivation or my energy just like rot away. So yeah, I feel that. Um,
That was powerful, man. I love that so much.
yeah.
For sure, man. I'm right there with you. There's just something about I don't know, man. Like I was at Costco the other day. It's super busy now. Everyone out there is with their family and their families, and it's just so packed, and everyone's in a rush, man. I don't know
Mhm.
what for. I hear people like honking because like they're mad someone took their parking lot, and it's almost like I hate using the term like NPC because I feel like I'm feeding it, but sometimes I feel like I'm looking around. I'm like, what are people doing?
Yeah.
Like what is going on? Like, what are you guys such a hurry for? Um, like I want to slow down, man. I
Mhm.
after like what Astrovisional said after 2020, I'm like, dude, I want to spend as much time as I can with the people I love. Um, and I want things to slow down so much because when I was a kid, I used to hear the phrase "time flies" or "you blink an eye and something will happen." I'm like, oh, that's such a old people thing to say. And then now I get it. I get
Yeah.
it, and I feel like I want to warn everyone. I'm like, dude, those guys that were saying time flies, they're onto something, man. Because like I'm seeing it now. Someone told me I was born in the 1900s,
Yeah.
and I was like, dude,
Oh,
it's
dude.
I just felt like my soul just yeet out of my body.
Mhm.
But yeah, well said, man. Live. We all should be living.
Right. Um, let's fast forward to the end of life here. Let's talk about this. Let's go like a little bit deeper. I've been thinking about this recently. Someone posed this question, I think, on TikTok. I saw it in a video, and I've been asking it myself. I think I asked my wife at some point. If you had 5 minutes left to live, like you're in your deathbed, what song would you choose to listen to in those final 5 minutes?
I can only think of one.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same song that I usually end my live streams with, and it's
Ooh,
called. Yeah, it's so ironic. Yeah, it's that the song's called "We Could Die Chasing This Feeling." It's
too
it's
perfect.
like yeah, it's from an artist called Hammock. They're like a post ambient post rock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm familiar.
uh, yeah. But when I was learning how to do the lives, man, when I was perfecting my craft, like sharpening the blade and figuring out, okay, this is how I am going to try to dominate what I do best during these live streams. This is how I'm going to try to pull people in. During Whenever I was figuring that out, there that song was always just a stargazing song for me. But for some reason, whenever I played it during the live streams, like it seemed like people liked it, and I'm like, you know what? We're just gonna call this the outro song. So before I say my goodbyes, I always play that one last song, and I've
Mm.
been playing that same song since the last 3 years. But that's probably what I'd listen to.
It's a good
And it would be
choice.
yeah, I think I would die happy listening to that for sure.
Good. Yeah, that's awesome. One of my best friends swears by Hammock. He introduced me to that artist, and yeah, I can just feel the vibe already. you know?
Oh yeah, man, it's a
I
good
was
way to
gonna
go.
yeah, and I was gonna bring up too, like I also have an incredible sense of music choice for your TikTok videos in general, not just the end, but um is most of what you play Hammock, like, just in the background, or do you have other? Because a lot of times you'll have sort of like chill wave, like vibe type music that feels spacey and ethereal. What are
Yeah,
some of your like go-to artists for like stargazing or things that you use for your videos?
man, that's a tough one because I just play like whatever I feel like listening at the time. So I'm a big fan of like new wave '80s. So the
Mhm.
like the Cure and the Smiths is some like it's probably not great for stargazing. I don't know. I don't care. Like
Yeah.
it's my stream and I'm gonna do it. And it seems like people enjoy it. I love synth wave. So
Hmm.
I've been dabbling with this band called The Midnight. They're really cool. I've been listening to them for a minute, but mostly it's the chill ambient music because for some reason. So like before like Hammock was something that I would listen to when I had a really crappy day, or when I'm trying to sleep, or if I just wanted to fill up the tank and drive somewhere. And so they was kind of just my go-to. But something about having some chill, relaxing music just really kind of just gets me to calm down. You
Hmm.
know, I don't know. I haven't tried heavy metal yet. I'm a big fan of metal. I know
Yeah.
Astrovisional is too. So I don't know if like stargazing and while listening to like a heavy breakdown would be cool, but ambient music, man,
Hmm.
it's the way to do it.
Um, I saw a comment here by Ashley. Saturn by Sleeping at Last.
Ooh,
That song is incredible.
that
Um,
album, the whole album is so good. They're so good.
for those of you not familiar with Sleeping at Last, I struggle to remember the guy's name who is Sleeping at Last. But he has whole albums dedicated to astronomy and astronomical events, which is so cool. I had a special moment with that song Saturn. A couple of years ago, I went to Newport State Park up in Door County, Wisconsin. It's a dark sky park, and it was doing astrophotography of the Milky Way. And I had my earbuds in, and I had like one earbud in, and I was listening to the waves of Lake Michigan roll in and seeing the pitch black night sky with beautiful Milky Way. And I was listening to that song, and the line in that song is, "How rare and beautiful is it that we even exist?" I think it was something like that. It was like a transcendent moment listening to that song. So every time I hear that song, I think of being out on the shores of Lake Michigan and Newport State Park, because changed who I am inside. So I'm glad someone brought that up.
Dude, I love that. I was just talking about this the other day. It's so weird that just a bunch of sound waves could evoke this type of emotion and even memory, right? Music is such a big part of me, man. And like what you were saying, just I wasn't there, but I could just feel what you felt during that moment, like with just everything happening, and then the perfect song, just the perfect lyric, just to like make that moment so unforgettable.
Yeah.
So powerful.
I saw you shared a video on TikTok. I think it was today. It was like a 1 year ago video that you had some M83 playing.
Yeah,
and
they're
they're
cool.
just, they're one of my absolute go-tos for kind of that synth wave, spacey feel. I had a big moment with them recently. I've been doing a lot of my running at night. I'm a big runner, so I run every day, and I've been running at night a lot. Was it last month or 2 months ago now? Gosh, I'm forgetting. We had that super moon. Was that September? There was that, like,
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm struggling to remember when it was. It was in the last like 2 months.
I think it was September.
Yeah,
Let's just go with it.
Let's call it that. Get to the point, Nick. I have a really big problem with rambling. It's one of those things.
No. I didn't mean that.
No, I'm not blaming you. Don't worry. I was talking from my own perspective. Like, I was yelling at myself. Like, get to the point, Nick. It's the struggle. Anyway, I was out running at night, and I had my music in my ears, and the super moon was so bright. It was full moon, extra large. Everything was glowing, and I had M83, like their newest album, blasting in my ears. And I swear, I felt like the moon was right in front of me, with the connection that music made with me in the night sky in that moment.
You're running harder.
It like literally felt like I could have run forever. It like your point, sound waves boosted my physiology and the visual experience that was happening with the natural world at the same time. Just listening to music, it's incredibly powerful. And I'm sure we both could go on for hours about moments like this, right?
I'm excited, man. I'm probably, after this live stream, I think I'm just gonna stare at the wall and listen to some chill music and just kind of reflect about how awesome this podcast was.
That's great. Well, can I make a recommendation for music selection for you? I'm sure we all have artists like this in our catalog, but I have an artist that is not very well known, that is like one of my like dirty little secrets. And I'm going to spoil it here on the internet here. Yeah. So I discovered an artist probably 4 or 5 years ago. And he goes by Kazuki, Kazuki, 2 eyes at the end, Kazuki with 2 eyes. Does like this like really chill ambient stuff with these really ethereal vocals, and he produces music in the form of singles like constantly, so he'll be putting them out. His social media handles are like that Kazuki, I think, is like a social media handle in a lot of ways. I think he's on Twitter and a bunch of other places too. Highly recommended. Excellent stargazing music. I've used them in some of my videos. I actually used it in one of my videos today. He's done some collabs with One Heart, which is another big one. But yeah, I'd recommend
Kazuki. Yeah, I got him pulled up here. Is there a song that you want me to listen to?
Ooh.
Give me the yeah.
Yeah, there's Gosh, my all-time favorite Kazuki song is the one that I discovered him by, which is it's Design. It's called Design, and it's featuring a vocalist by the name of Diana, and she has been in several of his songs. One of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard in my life, and I love Kazuki as an artist. And again, he's kind of like hidden. I hope he blows up one day because he's just does such incredible work. But I highly recommend for just going out in the night sky and plugging him in. He's got a big catalog of stuff, so there's no shortage of tracks.
I'm gonna add it to the stargazing playlist, man. I'm excited.
Yeah. Lost in Time is another good one.
Okay.
I could probably find a million other ones for you. I'll have to text them.
Text it to me. Yeah. That's awesome.
The one of the things, and I hope if you're good on time to go for a little bit more. If you had any, is there any of your astrophoto work that you would love to share? Do you have anything queued up or things off that you could get access to that you'd love to share with people?
Yeah. There's just like 2 or 3. I was thinking, I'm like, man, I want to show them all these photos, but I'm like, nah, I don't really care too much because they're not anything crazy, but I do. Do I go to present, right?
Yeah, hit present, and you can choose a screen or a window.
Okay, so some of these photos are just meaningful to me. Let's see, window. Okay. All right, can you see this?
Yep, there. Okay, yeah, I see.
Oh, what is this? Spam. Oops.
I'm seeing the Explorer window.
All right, hang on.
Yeah, take your time. While you're doing that, I'm just gonna do a little plug here. If you guys wouldn't mind, if I think a lot of you guys are Milk Gang, but if you're not, go to TikTok, Instagram, whatever. Give Tan a follow. Chasing the Milk. I just think it's a good way to say thank you for his time and show him your support. Let's help get him to 1 million followers on TikTok. Really easy to do. Doesn't cost anything. But I'm grateful for him being here tonight and spending his time and sharing his heart and mind about all the fun things about space and astrophotography. So please do support him. Yeah, that'd be awesome. And if you are enjoying this episode of the Galactic Window podcast, would you please like it to tell YouTube that you're enjoying the experience? And that would hopefully help promote it in the algorithm and help get it pushed on future episodes. That'd be greatly appreciated. Also consider sharing it with folks after the fact. Like this will be available as a replay immediately after the show. So as soon as we end here tonight, you'll be able to watch this whole episode. You can watch previous episodes on the Orbital Alliance YouTube channel. Would greatly appreciate you guys sharing those episodes with people who might enjoy learning about space or meeting people who love space, just like Tan, or other guests that I've had here on the show. So that would be appreciated very much. So thank you. How's it looking on your end there, Tan?
Appreciate that. Pretty good. I had all that spam pulled up because it was a kind of like a stupid inside joke, but I just have like 3 photos. So this is probably one of my favorite photos. This was the first time I nailed for me it was a bucket list shot.
Here is it showing that's actually spam.
Hold on.
Maybe I'll reshare the window here. It's legit spam.
That's so funny. Here, hang on. Screens. Okay, so let me stop.
Yeah.
Okay, present, share screen, window. Okay. Can you see the? Okay.
I'm seeing spam.
All right. Okay.
Right here. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this is this was this was the buck moon. Don't remember what month. It's maybe June, July, August. I don't know. So this is the first time I felt like I really was happy with one of my bucket list photos, and I was on top of a levee, and I've always wanted a photo of just me and the moon because I love the dang moon so much. So I carried my so I was trying to figure out what telescope I had. This is my AVX mount, so nothing super heavy, but I carried it all on top of this little levee, and I had a friend with his telephoto lens, and man, it's just one of the most fun I've had with these moon photos because like I love taking photos of the moon, but I always love adding some kind of foreground into it, and I get so inspired whenever I see people shoot photos of people like trying to hold the moon or shove it in the trunk of the car and all kinds of really creative stuff. So this was the first time I got a get an awesome moon photo. So very proud of this one.
Mm.
And I just have two more photos.
Mm-hmm.
This is Comet Neowise for people who've never seen it before.
Wow.
This was I don't think I even had a tracker, man. I think I was just at a dark sky. I mean, you can see some clear like green cast, some vignetting, but I don't care. For me, this was the thing that got me hooked on this hobby, and this little comet here, man, this was the reason why Chasing the Milk is Chasing the Milk.
Dude, I mean, in that picture, something that you can notice, and that was not something I captured and you did here, that was really cool, is that comet had two tails.
The ion tail.
And you got, the second tail on the upper part there. Are you able to zoom in a little bit? If you like scroll or something? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that blue.
Yeah.
I don't know what gas that is. Do you know?
I don't. I know, I mean, most comets are water ice, so there could be, hydrogen or oxygen. I could be wrong, but that I'm so like enthralled with how you capture that. That's cool. And then look at this. That's awesome.
Yeah. So this was from one of the nights when I discovered it. This was the life-changing moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. The Neowise. I hope we get another comet like Neowise. I'm very hopeful because I've seen Leonard, I've seen ZTF, and some of the other ones where I can't remember their names, but there's nothing like Neowise.
Right.
Thank you, Space. Appreciate it.
Got a lot of good comments coming in here for you.
And that was it. I just had 3 photos, a bunch of photos to spam, and then I had one video I wanted to show you guys. This is kind of a sneak peek for. I know some of the people here were staying up really late with me a few nights ago for the Linas, where I caught the fireball.
Oh yes.
So I'm gonna go ahead and how do I start this over? Because you can see it right here. So I'll just go ahead and play it.
Yeah, do it.
It was so cool.
Oh man.
It was the only one. It was the only like really good sized meteor of the night. We caught more than 200, but this one was just. I wonder if you can hear my reaction. If not, no biggie.
Yeah. Here it comes. Oh yeah, I can kind of hear you. Oh my goodness,
such a cool moment.
I love that that thing lingered so long that you were able to react and track it manually.
Yeah,
and get the shot.
Yeah, I didn't want to miss it, man. It was such a cool experience, and to be able to share that with like, dude, we streamed for 5 hours, which is something I usually don't stream that long, but we had a consistent 900 to 1,000 people in there. So even though it was virtual, I was just staring at my phone and no one was physically around me. The fact that other people got to see this from all over the world was such a awesome experience.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, because most of those meteors are a fraction of a second, and obviously, if you yourself could miss them, like I think that happens a lot, where like your chat will be calling out. I saw one, and you maybe were like looking away or not looking at that part of the sky
for sure.
So easy to miss, but here you are with this magnificent fireball, and it had such a hang time that you're able to track it and capture
dude, it was sick. It was gnarly.
Well done on that, man. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. That's all I got.
I did see some confirmation on the science end about Neowise, saying the second tail was caused by sodium, actually. So a little bit of good old Na on the periodic table. Or the original second tail is just dust. Okay, so the red was sodium. Okay, so here it is. I missed this comment.
Cool.
Yeah, so there we go. Awesome. Thanks for giving us some scientific fact checking.
Yeah,
not in my game. Man, gosh. So yeah, we've got. So thanks for sharing those images. I wanted to go back really quick and comment on your moon photo. Like that's something that I think you do that is unique. Is anyone can just take a photo of the moon. It's one thing if you can actually get a foreground image, like a silhouette, like you did, or you've done some of these beautiful shots where you're in your astronaut suit up on a hill with the moon rising, and it takes a really long focal length to get those images. So your photographer has to be really far away.
Mm-hmm.
In those scenarios, about how far away are those people from you when you're like in the shot, roughly?
I think a quarter mile.
Mm-hmm.
We want to go even further because I'd love to have a moonshot where it completely just takes over the entire screen. But
Yeah.
there we don't really I haven't really found the perfect spot yet, and I think that's really tricky. I'd love to get one. So we have this we have the arch, the Gateway Arch out in
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis, which is really cool. And I'd love to get a huge moon just taken, behind the city, but haven't really found a spot to do it, and it's a little sketchy there at night. So maybe one
Right.
day.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's it's one of those projects you can always have like ready in your mind, and when the opportunity comes, like you feel the urgency to live and go get it, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, that's cool. As long as like we're blessed with days to live, like you can have that chance to nail that shot.
Yeah. One thing I really like about it is that it gives me a chance to do something whenever I can't, like stargaze. Or I know a lot of the astrophotographers hate the moon because of the they can't image. But for
Mhm.
me, I'm like, dude, I could probably use a break from Milky Way or deep space. I'm gonna go shoot the moon, and it gives me something to do, like, for the most part, uh throughout the entire month, so I'm not just waiting for a new moon. And I don't have filters. I don't have light pollution filters or whatever. So I'm limited to just shooting around a crescent or a new moon
Mhm.
for deep space.
For sure. Yeah. You've mentioned your love for Luna, our moon, and there is something magical about it that it's easy to take for granted. And I think I brought this up recently. Maybe I brought it up with you. I can't remember when I was talking about it, but the most people's understanding of the sky in general dates back to how they were shown like the picture books in like preschool and kindergarten, like in that age. Like the sky is blue, the sun is a yellow ball that moves across the sky, the moon is out at night, it's always full, that kind of an image. But not realizing just how much those things change, and how the moon is not always out at night, it's out in the day. It has phases, it's always moving, it's never still. Like there's these facts that present themselves as you have more of an understanding of our sky, and they kind of shatter these elementary understandings that I think we all start out with. But most people's comprehension of that stops there. Like those pictures you have in your science class in school, it's the solar system, and it's like, here's the sun, and then all the planets in a line. Everyone thinks like that's how the solar system looks. The planets are in a line. We're all really close together.
And that's
And it's
it.
just not
Yeah.
true. And I was that way too. Like I used to think the Mars, like I was like looking for Mars when I was in high school. I'm like, where's Mars? Well, it must be that by the moon, because the moon is the next thing in line. Then it's Mars, then it's Jupiter. It should all just be right there. And I'm like, obviously it's not the case. But I think there's this the point of me bringing this up is that we can walk outside at night, see the moon, like, oh, it's just the moon. It's always there. But I think it's a never-ending fountain of beauty, and so do you. It sounds like you have that adoration for this celestial rock that is always going to be there for us, in our lifetime. And it has this ability to dazzle our imaginations, and it's kind of this safe haven, right? Like, would you agree that it's sort of like I don't want to say fallback, but that's why I use like the word haven. It's like it's always something that's never gonna disappoint us, right?
Yeah. Man, I agree with you. I Yeah, sometimes I don't know why I'm so drawn to it. And there's just, for me, there's just sentimental value too, because, like, the moon streams is what made my account grow. Like it all started because I thought it was so pretty and I just wanted to share it on TikTok. And there were when I started, I was streaming to maybe like less than 10 people. And it gradually became like 20, 30, 100,000. And so it's for me, it's a constant reminder, like kind of was like what I was saying earlier, that these were my roots. But I love I just love everything about the moon.
Mhm.
And yeah, I hope that never changes, man.
Right.
I love Luna too much.
Did you ever see the movie with Tom Cruise, Oblivion? It's like
I've heard of it.
2013, I think.
I don't think so.
Okay. Highly recommended. One of my favorite movies of all
Oblivion.
time.
Okay.
It's a weird one-off movie, like sci-fi movie. And in it, the world has been annihilated basically from a war with aliens, essentially. And Tom Cruise is like part of the cleanup crew for trying to like get the last like few humans off Earth. But the moon was actually like destroyed in this war in the future. And the
Whoa.
imagery they created, they show these like close-ups of the moon from Earth, where it's like it's still there, but it just looks like it has like something punched through it. And there's like this ring around Earth now, like from the moon.
That's so cool.
I would recommend watching the movie just for that, because the visuals in that are phenomenal. Fun fact too, M83 did the soundtrack for that movie.
Oh, that's sick.
And there's tracks in that soundtrack I would highly recommend for stargazing as well. And I'll be sure to send you those after the fact here.
Yeah, please.
But that movie is really great. And so you were talking about, hopefully it's always there for us. And I would say as long as Tom Cruise's movie Oblivion doesn't become a reality, it will be.
I love it. Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out, man. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. Well, we are at about 2 hours and 20 minutes because it's been an amazingly fun conversation. So I'd like to kind of just swing us around third base here,
Okay.
and ask you if you had thoughts that you want to share with the audience who is watching, whether they're in the chat room now or in the future watching the replays. And it can be about anything. Is there anything in your mind it's like, I feel like this is important to say that maybe we missed in our conversation tonight?
Sure, man. That's really good. If you guys have ever this is to everyone listening to this, especially if you are kind of new to astronomy. If there's ever a time, or if you've ever considered about getting into astronomy, I cannot emphasize enough that you should just do it. It's been a life changer for me and a lot of people in the community. Probably, I think every single person that I know. I have not met anyone that found out about astronomy and like left it and decided that they don't want to do it. You might get burnt out, you might get bored of your photos, but I have not heard of a single case where someone looked up at the sky and was like, this is lame. Like I don't like this anymore. And it's so important to look up, don't worry about, if you need any gear or like what telescopes or how to take photos. I think just paying attention to the night skies, like even learning your constellations, it's so fun. And I think it's so important, especially with, I don't know, man, just how crazy everything can be sometimes. For me, it's a way to get grounded. So if you're listening to this is your sign to start looking up more.
Nice. Yeah, I'll second that. Definitely endorsed.
Sure.
Definitely
Maybe
endorsed.
we're a little biased.
Yeah, for the right reasons, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no angle. Like we don't benefit necessarily from that. So it's hopefully the benefit is purely in the hands of people who are listening, right?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be funny if you would get like a cut. Like you got a commission.
Click the link in the bio. Yeah.
Yeah, right. What's your Venmo? You want to share your Venmo? Like, hey, this person fell in love with astronomy. Send 10% to Tan.
That would be sick.
Yeah, right. Oh man, well, dude, yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think that's a really, really beautiful way to kind of close this up here. Um, Again, man, so grateful to have the chance to connect with you over TikTok over this past year, through random comments and through our mutual video postings, which eventually led to some live stream interaction and actually meeting in person. And now here we are, having these multi-hour conversations with ourselves and with each other and with the world. I'm grateful to get to know you. I hope this is certainly not the last time we get to talk. And, I definitely look forward to the next time, whenever that is. So thanks for making the time tonight. And I hope you enjoyed it as well.
For sure, man. I likewise, dude. I'm actually super inspired. I've been talking about doing a podcast just forever and keep on finding reasons to not do it. But after seeing how awesome the production is on your end, I'm just super inspired. And really, I'm super grateful that I could share my story, because I feel like there's a lot of people on TikTok that have only seen like 2% of Chasing the Milk. They'll just see this guy who does live streams, and they won't really know the whole story. So this is I don't get to share my story a lot, my full story. So it was nice to be able to actually get it out, because it's been a while since I've had a nice conversation like this. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, dude. Your unique view through the Galactic Window is a special one, and it's worth sharing. So I'm glad we had a chance to widen the needle, the pinhole or whatever, a little bit, and see more of who you are in tonight's episode. So yeah, very, very, very excited to continue to get to know you, and I'm grateful again for you making the time. Thanks, man.
Yeah, for sure. And just want to give a shout out to everyone in the chat. I know we've been talking for a minute. It's been awesome. I feel like I could keep going, but I do appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah, everybody, I see so many very kind comments. Gosh, thank you, Ashley, so much for the support. Moonlegs, gosh, the list goes on here. Joe, I mean, thank you guys for hanging out. Tiffany, I see you there. Thank you so much. Josh, my friend, thank you very much. Guys, I'm sure there's a handful of others who are still out there. Thank you.
I agree,
very
Tiffany.
much.
Weekly or even monthly episode.
Ooh, that's an idea. I mean, I'm never going to say no to something like that. That sounds like we might have a possibility of a lead there. Maybe we should discuss that coming up.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I'm excited for the next guest too. I don't know if you figured that out yet, or if you're not allowed to say, but whoever it is, I'm excited.
Yeah, no, this is actually a really good time to talk about that. So here, let me I just closed something. Yeah, so I actually do have the next guest lined up. They are booked, and I'm going to announce it right now. And you know, it's a fellow Astro nerd, Tara, who is known as TDiv Astro on TikTok.
Nice, dude.
She is a wonderful personality. She's from the lovely state of Wisconsin, just to the north of me, and she's a fellow Midwesterner, and does incredible live streams as well. And it's just such a passion for building community around space too. So I'll be interviewing Tara on December 15th next month. And I kind of structure my podcast as sort of like a twice a month rhythm, and one will fall in the first 2 weeks of the month, and another one will fall somewhere in the second 2 weeks. So it's never going to be a consistent day, at least not right now. I'm trying to keep things loose for my guests so we can schedule and guarantee scheduling. So we kind of have a little bit of a gap. We'll go through Thanksgiving here, and we'll get to the end of the first part of December period to December 15th, right at the end there. I believe it's a Friday night, so that'll be a different day of the week. Hopefully that doesn't cause any issues for those of you who've been watching regularly. I think last two have been Monday nights. But yeah, I'm excited to get to the end of the year, and I'm currently working on the following guests thereafter. So expect 2 episodes a month, and TDiv Astro will be our guest coming up in December. So pretty stoked.
Dude, thanks for doing this, man. Thanks for giving us Astro nerds a voice.
Yeah, dude, there's too many of us, and in a good way. I'm not saying that like in a bad way. Like there's so many of us, that we can't get all of our stories out, like you were saying. So I'm happy to make an avenue if this is what it takes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, thanks Tan so much. Everybody, again, go follow him, support him, help get him to that 1 million follows on TikTok. I know that would be a crazy day. We have to throw a party for you when that happens.
Maybe it'll happen before right during the eclipse, bro.
Ooh,
Or before
yes.
it. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, dude. Start the momentum. Start making that a trend, promoting yourself there, and I think it'll happen. Manifest it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna exit you out here, and I'll close out the podcast. Thank you, Tan, once again.
For sure, man.
Peace, brother. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. This has been episode 4 of the Galactic Window podcast. Thank you so much for spending your time with us here on a Monday night. I know it's late. I'm in Central Time, so it's 10:30 p.m. Wherever you are around the world, I'm grateful for you. And I hope that you are able to take a small glint of inspiration and hope that you can go out in the night sky and see something cool for yourself. You don't need a telescope. Viewing the night sky is absolutely free. And then you can develop your own view through the galactic window yourself. With that, I'm going to say good night. Thank you all for being here. And we'll see you all on the other side.